co-hosts, current UFC strawweight, Jessica Penne. And Jessica, like I mentioned, Efrain Escudero making his return to the cage here tonight, taking on Leonard Smith Jr. Both fighters have a lot of experience, but Efrain looking to bounce back and get some momentum back in his career. What are you looking for in this fight?
Well, we have a crafty veteran in Efrain Escudero. He is no stranger to the ups and downs of this sport. Look for him to come in with his crisp boxing, standing in the pocket, using his wrestling and his BJJ brown belt knowledge. He is going to need it against this heavy-hitting 205-pounder who's dropping down for this awesome catch weight.
Like you mentioned, we have a 205-pounder dropping down in weights. Efrain Escudero had some trouble making weight in the past at 155. This is his first fight at 170. How can that factor into this fight? Is that a problem for Efrain coming into this fight at all?
Again, Efrain is such a crafty veteran. He has been in the octagon, in the cage, in the ring with so many name fighters on so many different platforms. I think that his experience is going to carry him through this. He knows what to do. He's well prepared and looking to get his hand raised.
You know, both fighters are looking to get to winning ways as well, looking to move on to bigger fights and bigger purses. That's our main event. We also have 9 other fights for you to watch as well here. So go ahead, sit back, relax, and let's get tonight's action started.
People just don't know what we go through. All the time away from family, hours of road work, fighting through the pain of training. You know, people just don't understand how tough this life is. People ask me then, why do it? Simple. I want to be the best in boxing. Follow Best in Boxing on YouTube, where the future stars of boxing fight.
Hello everybody, how's it going? Marcos Villegas here ringside with Jessica Penne as we're about to start a night full of action over here on Fight Up TV. This is our inaugural Best in MMA card here where we have 9 total fights, and like we mentioned in the opening, Jessica, our main event, Efrain Escudero taking on Leonard Smith Jr. Both fighters have a lot of fights, looking to get back to bigger shows, obviously. You know, this is a platform in which we could help those guys get to those bigger shows. Efrain Escudero, though, an interesting case because he's been to the big show and has been a little bit inconsistent. I know the last few fights he hasn't trained as well. He hasn't taken things a little bit seriously, but he's hoping to get his career back on track.
And I mean, that's a very good point. There are things that happen in fighters' personal lives that can really derail them from a good performance and getting their hand raised. He said that he has really been in the trenches. He is now back to his disciplined ways. He is ready and focused and doing a lot of cross-training. He's going to Yuma. He's putting himself in really risky positions with training partners that really want to take his head off and make a name of themselves off of him, as they tend to do. So I'm really excited to see the best version of Efrain Escudero that we've seen in a long time.
No, this is the first step to go in that way, but this is also his first step into a new weight class as well. How is that moving up in weight? You had to move up in weight when you started your career, so how big of a difference is that for a fighter to move up in weight?
It really causes a lot of issues if you don't make the proper adjustments. For me personally, it was difficult, but you just have to learn how to fight people differently. You have to look at your opponent and you have to figure out how to, you know, get around that kind of strength and not really fight somebody that's so much bigger, stronger, where they're strong. So it's a different strategy that he has to go to, and coming down from 205 in Leonard Smith is going to pose a problem if he doesn't make those adjustments.
Yeah, it's a big guy too also, you know, he's having to deal with a bigger opponent in there as well.
He comes forward with a big 1-2. He's looking to land that overhand right. He has one punch KO power, and that's something that Efrain is really going to have to watch out for, especially stepping up in weight. He is the smaller fighter, but he also is fast. He is well-rounded. He has great wrestling, which I think we're going to see in this fight. He said he wants to get back to his wrestling ways, and those were his roots. He also is a brown belt in BJJ, and he has sharp boxing in the pocket. So I'm really excited to see this matchup. I think it's a great test. He's no stranger to testing himself at the highest level.
No, he's fought the best of the best in his career so far in MMA. We also have a lot of fights that are showing and highlighting up-and-coming fighters. This is a platform in which we're giving those fighters a chance to make a name for themselves, to show their skills and highlight their skills so that they get taken notice by bigger promotions and promoters as well. I believe so. At this point, we're going to get the first fight of the night started. So with that, let's go ahead and toss it up inside the cage and get the action started. So I had no idea that we were about to start. I didn't even see his message, but he said 1 minute away, so I was like, I don't know.
That mic's hot, homie.
Yeah, I had no idea he was segueing for us to start. Oh, there is.
Muy buenas noches, damas y caballeros. Y bienvenidos al auditorio municipal Fausto Gutiérrez Moreno de nuestra queridísima Tijuana, Baja California, México, que abre sus puertas una vez más para disfrutar de las artes marciales mixtas profesionales que es traído a ustedes por Bankai Pro Gear y SE Global Sport Screaming. Damas y caballeros, esta función es sancionada por la Honorable Comisión de Box, Lucha Libre y Artes Marciales Mixtas de Tijuana, con su presidente a cargo, el licenciado Carlos Lavacida. Los jueces que estarán colaborando tenemos a José Cubián, Mayra Arce y Guillermo Figueroa. Los referees serán Daniela Moja y Edgar López. Tomador de tiempo, campanero, el señor Sergio Fernández. Concertador de encuentros, el señor Fabián Quintanar. Médico del ring, el doctor Benjamín Sandoval y Ernesto Franco. El comisionado en turno, Frank Navarro. Y como iniciador oficial, un amigo y servidor, Juan Jaime Jr. Pues sin más preámbulos, vámonos a la primera pelea amateur de la noche. 3 rounds de pelea por 3 minutos de acción. We go to the first fight of the night. This fight is amateur. 3 rounds fighting with 3 minutes action. Damas y caballeros, Derek marcha atrás. Es tiempo de pelear. Presentando primero en la esquina azul. Ahí le tuvo la base por los 79 kilos, 600 gramos. He stopped the scale at 79 kilos, 60 kilograms. Con un récord profesional de 6 peleas ganadas y 2 perdidas. He holds a professional record, 6 wins, only 2 defeats. From Guaymas, Sonora, México. Fuerte las palmas para Jesús Echeverría. Contrincante en la esquina azul. Él detuvo la más con 83 kilos con 100 gramos. He stopped the scale at 83 kilos with 100 grams. He holds a record of 5 wins, only 1 loss. Él tiene un récord profesional de 5 peleas ganadas, tan solo 1 perdida. The Gimnasio Pitbull, the Tijuana, Baja California, México,
Alguien la tiene que cerrar. Chicos, ya conocen las reglas. Tiene una pelea limpia y una pelea dura. ¿Okay? Choque en guantes, sus esquinas. ¿Estás listo?
Hello everybody, how's it going? Marcos Viegas here on the call with Jessica Penne.
Listo.
Welcome to the best in MMA. As we're getting our first fight of the night underway. Jesus Echeverria in the black shorts throwing a kick. Going up against Alexis Miranda in the white shorts.
And these men are wasting no time. These are short rounds. These are amateur rounds, and these are more like a sprint than an actual 5-minute feeling out process that you normally get with the pros.
Yeah, very fast pace. You can't waste any time in there. Echeverria throwing a front kick. I noticed, Jessica, that Miranda has padding on the knees. You being a fighter, when you see that, what does that tell you?
When I see that, that means that there's an injury. There's some things to be worried about.
Oh, down.
Wow, nice sweep, catch of the kick. And Miranda's content to let him back up. It's interesting that he didn't want to progress and take it to the ground when he had him in that compromising position.
Miranda's been the one that's been bringing the fight, though. He got clocked by a straight just now. Small cage in there tonight.
Yeah, fighting in a cage this small is really like fighting in a phone booth. It gives you no room to really circle around. You're forced to engage at all times, and these men are definitely both pressing the action. even though one is up against the fence and one is in the center. Wow, nice hook, nice head movement.
Yeah, it's good for the fans, but maybe not for a fighter if their plan is not to go toe-to-toe. Miranda's been the aggressor so far in this round number 1.
But Echeverri's been doing a really good job with countering with those low leg kicks. And nice head kick. These guys are really mixing it up back and forth, and I like that there really hasn't been a lot of grappling involved.
Oh, down goes
Guevara right in front of us.
Miranda on top of him.
Miranda trying to advance to side mount, get into a good position, and this is a really good strategy by Escudero. He is holding him down, trying to really nullify the strikes of Miranda. He's kind of cage walking and looking to turn back into him would be the wise decision. I think Escudero has his arm wrapped up. Miranda's got to be really careful. He needs to stack him. Oh, there's a reverse triangle right there. This is not necessarily the position that you can submit in, but it is tricky and pesky, and it does kind of put you in a bad position. Oh, he's locking it up, though.
Half the round is finished now. Is Miranda in the dominant position trying to fight off the submission attempt.
Now Miranda's out, and he's gotta make him pay for that submission attempt.
Hammer fist now coming from him.
Echeverri's gotta, you can't play that inverted game in MMA, honestly, unless you're really skilled at it.
But we apologize, there's a mistake on the graphic that we have on. It is 3-minute rounds for this fight, as is an amateur fight. Not the regular 5-minute rounds, as the first round just comes underway. It's a good round, a dominant round, I felt, for Alexis Miranda, who is in the white shorts.
Miranda definitely pressed the action with his strikes. He kept Escudero with his back up against the cage and really capitalized on that takedown towards the end of the round. Even though Escudero was trying for that armbar, he was trying for an inverted reverse triangle, but it just wasn't there. Those are really compromising positions to be in MMA.
Is he sporting a little mouse there in the corner?
Yes, he is.
Corner's trying to pump him up.
That's one of those mouses that you really need a cornerman to really tend to in between those rounds. Put some ice, put a no swell.
With those little gloves, that thing's gonna blow up pretty quick. As Miranda
is feeling himself after that first round. He knows he did well.
Getting pumped up. Round number 2 is now underway. Best in MMA. Got a whole night of action coming your way with our main event. Efrain Escudero taking on Leonard Smith Jr. More fights to come. That's 2 fighters in front of you, Alexis Miranda and Jesus Echeverri going at it.
Both men seem to be taking a little bit of a breath right up until then. Escudero pressing forward with big looping punches. He's got to be careful. He doesn't want to get clipped getting in, and honestly, him messing with his mouthpiece the way he is makes me a little bit nervous, just saying. Nice stiff jab by Miranda.
Surprised that Echeverri hasn't.
Ooh, nice kick to the
good
midsection.
Exchange there. Surprised that Miranda hasn't gotten his knees targeted. Seeing that he's been the one coming forward, you'd think Echeverri would try to target that, but Echeverri goes down again.
I think that was just a fumble. Miranda content to keep it on the feet. He's really chopping at that lead leg of Echeverri, which is a great counter. Ow, he swept him again.
Miranda has been the aggressor this whole fight. This round 2 is going his way. He's doing good work here inside the guard of Echeverri.
Echeverri wisely trying to keep the posture down of Miranda. Miranda really needs to get his head up, posture up and punch. He has him in a compromising position with his head up against the fence. That's definitely a vulnerable position for Echeverri, especially on bottom. Being pressed up against the cage like that is just so uncomfortable and just a really bad position.
Blows coming his way now.
Miranda relentless with the ground and pound.
He wants to get him out of there. Something's going on with Echeverri, Don't know what that was.
It looked like he was fixing his glove, trying to take a break. I'm not really sure what that was. Oh, he looks pretty gassed out.
Yeah, that mouse has gotten a little bit bigger.
It's not obstructing his vision, but it could be a problem in, you know, going into the third round.
Miranda mixing his offense, always starting out with those kicks. Superman punching out, series of punches, down goes Echeverria again.
It's really looking to me like he wants out of it. He looks pretty gassed out. I mean, this is a big moment. It's his first fight. Is that the ref waving it off?
Ref waving it over. We haven't gotten clear indications yet from the referee. I believe that was the end of round number 2 from my understanding. It's another dominant round, Jessica, for Alexis Miranda, who's... We're getting clarification now. It seems that the fight might have been stopped. So we have gotten indications from the referee. The fight has been stopped. Alexis Miranda stopping Jesus Echeverria. You were right, Jessica. It just looked like he wanted out. It looked like he wasn't mentally in it when he started messing with his glove.
It really did. It looked like that first get up in the middle of the round when his back was on the mat. It just looked like he wanted out.
Yeah, and he overwhelmed him too. It was just all offense, all power punching and power strikes from him. I don't think Echeverria really wasn't expecting all that.
No, and again, it's, you know, pro debut, a lot of energy, big platform, cameras, lights, and all of that. It's not easy. It can definitely zap your energy.
Damas y caballeros, vaya manera de abrir esta jaula con estos dos peleadores que no se quedaron con nada guardado. Damas y caballeros, a los 2 minutos con 37 segundos del segundo round. At 2 minutes, 37 seconds in round number 2. El vencedor por nocaut técnico, the winner by TKO, Alexis Miranda.
So we see a victorious Alexis Miranda getting another win to the delight of his throng of fans here. Good little contingent coming to see him here in Tijuana, Mexico.
And the story of that fight really was the pressure, the volume of Miranda. He did a great job just really nullifying all of Echeverria's attacks and just really rendering him.
As he is elated, gets another win to add to the ledger. I'll go ahead and give you guys the cliff notes of that post-fight interview. Just want to thank the fans and the people that came out to support them. Usually what happens in these post-fight interviews.
You know, you're excited, you got your adrenaline dump,
Yeah.
you just got your hand raised, an outstanding performance. The last thing you're thinking about at this level is what's coming out of your mouth sometimes.
Yeah, you never know sometimes with those things too. They kind of get out of hand, you know?
Luckily, they don't have to worry about fines at this stage.
Yeah, no, definitely not. So that was just a little appetizer of the action to come here tonight in the inaugural edition of the Best in MMA here on Fight Up TV, and brought to you in part with Global Sports Streaming. Like I mentioned, our main event, Efrain Escudero, 30-16, taking on Leonard Smith Jr. This is Escudero's first fight up at 170 pounds, where he spent most of his career at 155 pounds, the lightweight division in MMA. Also on the card, we're having Jesus NAVARRETE, ENRIQUE BOMBON LARA, Stitch, Regalado, and many, many other fighters. This platform is meant to highlight and build young prospects coming up to get some extra eyes on them and really chronicling their journey in that next stage of their careers. In total, we have 9 fights for you to watch, but our main event is the one that you want to keep an eye on as Efrain Escudero looks to inject some much-needed momentum in his career, looking to get back on the big cards, on the big shows. And Leonard Smith Jr. looking for another lucky type of performance, though. It's not luck in there, it's all skill. As he sports a record of 10-8. And with that, I'd like to bring up Noe Fresh homemade skincare CBD pain relief to go. Go ahead and check it out at noefresh.com and use the discount code GSSFresh for a 15% discount. Noe Fresh has 1,000 milligrams of CBD in their pain relief cream, and if you're having aches and pains, if you're feeling the trials and torments of training on your body, or just life is just kicking the crap out of you, go ahead and use Noe CBD pain relief to soothe your aches and pains. As we get set for the next bout of the evening,
Entertainment FNC 5 presenta la siguiente pelea de la noche. 3 rounds de combate por 5 minutos de acción. We go to the next fight of the night. 3 rounds of fighting, 5 minutes action. Damas y caballeros, presentando primero en la esquina azul, el de Tula báscula, 75 kilos, 800 gramos. Viste un pantaloncillo de color rojo con gris. De Guaymas, Sonora, México. Jorge el Alcohol OLEA. Su contrincante en la esquina roja. Él viene con un pantaloncillo de color negro con blanco. Llega con un peso de 71 kilos, 700 gramos. De Mexicali, Baja California, México. ¡ALONSO García! El tercero de superficie es López.
Bien, muchachos, quieren una pelea limpia, una pelea dura. Protéjanse en todo momento y obedezcan mis instrucciones en todo momento. Choquen guantes si quieren, las esquinas.
Lo más tranquilo, ya lo más español lo dije, güey, porque no me...
¿Puestos
Here we go, folks. Our first pro fight of the evening here
Tiempo
on
listo,
Fight Hub
peleadores.
TV.
¡A pelear!
Alonso Garcia taking on Jorge Alberto Olea Lopez. They go right at it,
Both men
Jessica.
going right at it.
This is what I like to see. Having a little tussle as Garcia.
Garcia on top, but
Scrambling now.
Lopez goes right out
Yep.
the back and is looking for a takedown of his own.
Just chasing after him.
Wow, you really don't want to turn your back to your opponent, but it got him out of there.
Superman punch attempt. As
Oh,
Lopez.
nice knee by Lopez.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Interesting start
This
so far.
has been fun.
Yeah.
Oh,
Saw
somebody lost their
mouthpiece fall out,
mouthpiece.
yeah.
Good call, ref. At the rate they're going, I definitely want them to have their mouthpieces in.
Yeah.
Garcia swinging
I'm
big.
gonna say Garcia's a stocky guy. You would think he has a lot of power as he catches the leg there, going for the takedown. As he has Lopez pressed up against the cage now, attempting a
And just
throw, but got stuffed there.
Lopez trying to establish position, now finds himself in guard. Let's see what Garcia has to offer. It looks like he's trying to climb to high guard, trying to isolate an arm. Lopez has really got to square up to him, otherwise he'll get swept over, possibly armbarred if he has it locked up.
Stacking him up.
It doesn't seem like he has anything locked up, but you don't want to stay in that position
Nah, he
too
just
long.
gave up his back.
Gives up his back.
Getting in one hook in. And try to flatten him out here.
Yeah, Lopez needs to get a little bit lower towards the hips of the back so he can, oh, he sits down.
Looks like he is a really bad
Wow,
position.
this is a
for
really bad
Garcia.
position. He has back mount.
Looks
I
like
don't
he might
know.
get it.
I don't know if it's underneath. He's kind of falling off. It looks more like a neck crank to me.
Now he got out.
Garcia, tough as nails, really
Yeah.
trying to fight that off.
He's in a really bad position there. As Lopez locks up a body triangle now. On top, has his back.
And in this position, you can really just, you can break your opponent down. You can hit behind the elbows, spread him out, flatten him out, and just ground and pound right there.
He's still trying to get the choke in.
Oh, it looks
Fighting
like
it.
he's sliding it in. Really needs to arch those hips, but Garcia really fighting the hands off very well.
2 minutes and 20 seconds still left in the round. A lot of time for Lopez.
Lopez
Put him
almost
work.
fell off, but he's wisely regained. Oh, if he's not careful, he's going to fall up the back, or there's an armbar attempt right there. Either way, I'd like to see him stay on top in such a dominant position. I wouldn't want to see him give up.
Gets out of the back door, does Garcia. It's Garcia
And now
now.
he's on bottom, and Garcia is trying to capitalize and get points to score this round.
Garcia working, raining some punches from the top.
Garcia's landing some hard shots, and this again, this is a really compromising position that Lopez is up against. He's got to create space just like he's doing, using kicking his feet. He's got to get off of his back and really use that cage to stand up.
Garcia breathing heavily.
Wow, the ref
Looks like he
just-
might be a little gassed. That was kind of a weird break there, but Garcia comes
Oh,
swinging.
Garcia coming swinging and hard.
Oh!
Whoa!
He took that Took that high kick pretty well there. Both fighters now exchanging there. The phone booth battle. Garcia coming forward, lunging with the jab.
Garcia's.
I have a feeling Lopez is trying to load up on something as both fighters are exchanging now.
Oh, nice
Big knee there
knee
from
by
Lopez.
Lopez.
Follows it up with an uppercut. Both fighters exchanging.
Oh, man. Garcia just walking him down, taking those punches and walking forward. Now they're tied up, maybe getting a little bit of a breather, but nope. Wow, another head kick.
Lopez. He's not getting full extension on the kick, but still that does some sort of damage as well.
Oh, look at that, tough as nails. He just took that on the jaw a second time. Oh, and his mouthpiece is out. Oh my gosh.
Lopez now, let's see what he can get here.
Lopez seems to be locking up that triangle. It doesn't seem fully locked up. Garcia stacking, really trying his best to get out of there. God, he's so tough. I mean, Garcia's doing the right thing. He's stacking him, but he really needs to turn that corner, slam the hips down to the ground and get that shoulder out.
See if he can escape this round. It's all over? Is that it?
Wait.
The ref is waving it on.
Did he tap?
I didn't see a tap. There's some sort of confusion over here on our side, but the referee did wave it off.
I mean, there were only seconds left in the round.
Yeah, I know.
You know, I like to see those fights go on.
It seems to me that Jorge Alberto OLEA Lopez is declared the winner. I don't believe that he tapped out, but I think the ref waved off the fight.
Well, this is a second fight in a row that the ref is just kind of taking control of. I mean, yes, he was in a compromising position, but he was still, you know, trying to fight out of it and do what he could.
Well, the ref is there for the safety of the fighter, and you know he has a closer view than us or you fans that are watching at home. So it's a better view of the things that are happening there. One thing I did notice though, that Garcia did look a bit gassed. He was in a bad spot, but there was a few, I want to say like 4 seconds left in that round.
But again, exactly. I just heard, you know, the timer going off for the 10 seconds left. That's not a, you know, that's not a spot that I want to see a fight stopped in when somebody's still in it and still trying to fight out of it.
Well, you see your winner there, Jorge Lopez from Guaymas, Sonora. Sonora, a hotbed of fighting, also known for churning out world champion boxers as well. So we have our first pro fight in the books here in Tijuana, Mexico. Much more to come later tonight. Efrain Escudero in our main event, taking on Leonard Smith Jr. Let's take it up to our ring announcer to make the fight official.
Damas y caballeros, a los 4 minutos con 58 segundos del primer asalto. 4 minutes, 58 seconds, round number 1. El vencedor por sumisión triángulo, Jorge el Alfón OLEA.
As we see our winner, Jorge Alberto OLEA Lopez, and yeah, Jessica, win via triangle. I'm still kind of perplexed because that was a very odd way to end the fight, the way he had it.
It was, again, he was in a compromising position, but it was towards the end of the round. He was stacking him in the proper way. And there was still potential for him to escape and then, you know, continue on until the next round. I did notice that he was gassed out. He was still going forward though. He was still trying, he was still engaging.
So we're attempting to take a look back at a replay of the action there. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties. Apologize for that, folks, as you're seeing us currently ringside right now. We have Arturo Lemus taking on Tony Medrano coming up next as our next fight in the bantamweight division, 135 pounds. scheduled for 3 rounds. Lemus with a record of 0-3 from Tijuana, Mexico, taking on Medrano with a record of 2-4 as we await their ring walks coming up. And records can be deceiving. It's not a clear indication of the skill level of the opponent, because sometimes they are extremely deceiving, especially in foreign countries. These guys, you know, sometimes they're referred to as journeymen, but they're tough journeymen. They give you a very stiff challenge as a young prospect coming up in the ranks, right, Jessica?
No, anyone that steps into the cage deserves respect, and sometimes it's difficult to see. When you see an 0-3, you start questioning what the person's doing here. However, in my experience, there are so many fighters that have taken the tough fights, the tough roads, that they weren't necessarily ready for at that time. And if they had a little bit more experience, a little bit more guidance from management or coaches, they could have done better. They just weren't ready for those challenges. I don't know what the case is for Lemus. However, I'm excited to see what he has tonight. And you know, this again, this is all, you know, getting experience. This is all getting feedback and figuring out what you need to do next to improve. You're only learning if you're trying. You can train as much as you want inside the gym. However, the experience inside of a cage is where you get the real feedback, where you get to learn and grow.
Oh, very true, Jessica. And is there anything going for them? They make some tough fighters out here in Tijuana. Many world champions have come out of this city.
What I love about coming to these fights in TJ is that everybody comes to fight. All of the fans are so appreciative. Everyone's excited to be here, and the fighters always put on a great show.
It's been an entertaining night of action so far. Every one of the fights that have happened have been right off the bat action, high pace.
I mean, they really have no choice. This
well, yeah, the cage is small.
So small. It's literally like fighting inside of a phone booth. There's no room to circle. There's no room to really feel each other out.
Would that mess with you if you were walking in and you hadn't seen it before?
You know, as a fighter, you just have to. You just got to roll with it. You have to adapt. You have to be prepared for anything. The cages that most people train in and spar in are normally very small replicas of, you know, the bigger cages and bigger octagons that you would fight in. So there's no, yeah, you just have to look at it like it's home, like it's at the gym.
Thank you for watching us over here on Fight Up TV, global sports streaming, the best in MMA happening, our inaugural MMA event. More to come later on tonight. And also, our best in boxing shows that we stream here regularly. We will return, putting on always action-packed cards for you to watch in association with Borristeca Boxing. You can go ahead and give us the opportunity to let you know that December 13th is the next best in boxing. Do not have a main event set in stone yet, but that will be the next best in boxing date that we have scheduled for you guys. So for those of you that have been with us from the beginning and regularly tuned in to watch our best in boxing series, we thank you, and we got much more action coming your way. So we hear a little bit of Run DMC playing. I believe that's the segue into our next fight. As I believe that is Arturo Lemus coming in, getting the crowd pumped, getting Jess pumped a little bit.
Getting me pumped, I'm dancing over here.
Like I mentioned, he has an 0-3 record. This fight scheduled to be in the bantamweight division, 3 rounds, 5 minutes. He's getting corner extractions, is Lemus. Give him a little pump-up slap there as he enters the cage here in Tijuana. Got a female contingent too, I hear. The ladies
the ladies definitely like this one.
Yeah, they do. as his opponent now is making his way to the cage. And there we see Tony Medrano from Rosarito, Baja California, Mexico, with a record of 2-4. All right, excuse me, folks. This is actually Arturo Lemus about to step into the cage. We made a minor mistake here. Tony Medrano actually was the first man to come out. As we see Arturo Lemus getting Vaseline put on his face. So it's Medrano was the one that was pumped up. The Lemus fan of hip hop there. Lemus just gave Medrano a little pat on the back. That's kind of odd.
I mean, you know, it's business.
Yes, it's just business. That's right. Good sportsmanship from him. So I think we got a little switch up here on our ring announcers. Oh, these shows. You never know what's going to happen.
These are a lot of fun. I'm loving this. I'm having a good time.
Marshall's Entertainment presenta la siguiente pelea de la noche. Se presentan en un combate pactado a 3 rounds. En la esquina azul, llegando con un peso de 62 kilos, 170 gramos, 6'2", 170, originario de Tijuana, Baja California, México. Tony Medrano. Su contrincante en la esquina roja, llegando con un peso de 62 kilos, 120 gramos, 6'2", 120, originario de Tijuana, Baja California, México, Arturo Lemus.
Daniela Modat.
Como referee de este combate, Daniela Modat.
Peleador, ya saben bien sus reglas. Hagan una pelea limpia. Cuando yo diga alto o stop, hay que pararse. Chocan las manos a sus esquinas.
Bantamweight action headed your way right now. Antonio Medrano taking on Arturo Lemus. As we begin the action here from the Auditorio Fausto Gutierrez Moreno. Kicks being exchanged by both fighters. Front kick from Medrano.
Medrano pressing, but nothing's really landing. Oh, there
he just landed some leather just
nice
now.
Kick to the body.
Spinning back kick missed. Lemus getting out of the way. Both fighters.
Nice timing on that takedown by
really good
by
takedown.
Lemus, and
be
he
careful
gets
not
it.
to get caught in this guillotine.
Yeah,
right
you
here.
never really want to have your hand on the mat. The hand needs to be fighting. Excuse me, his hands need to be fighting those hands that are choking him.
See if Medrano's able to
What
put
I'd
away
like to see him
Lemus.
do, yeah, he's posturing up really nicely, kind of tri-putting up. He needs to put that shoulder pressure into the chest and shoulder of Medrano.
See if it's a full commitment. I know that takes so much energy out of you when you're trying to squeeze.
And the arm-in guillotine is a little bit more difficult. He needs to really climb his arms up. Oh, nice to the sweep. He's still holding on to that head. that's not really a position that you can submit from. If I were him, I'd like to see him posture up and start punching and scoring. Lemus doing a good job of really holding him down onto him, though.
You guys see the hand positioning there. He's trying to get the hand away from him, or off of him at that area.
I think Medrano still has his arm kind of locked around his head. It's hard to see from here, but it looks like Lemus is trying to work. No, he doesn't have anything.
Well, Lemus is doing a good job of he was doing a good job of keeping him close, not creating too much space for Medrano to go ahead and launch punches at him.
Well, he's holding him down nicely. I mean, the body goes where the head goes, and if the head's down, the body stays down. However, he's not scoring, and he's still in a bad position. He swings for the armbar, and then he gets passed by Medrano. Medrano now in a dominant position, side control.
See if he puts a knee on belly and attempts to mount.
Now he's starting to isolate that arm of Lemus. If I were Lemus, I would really try and go out the back door, try and reach for a single, try and shrimp out. He's got to create space. Rather than that, he's holding Medrano down on top of him, which isn't allowing him to get free, and it really isn't allowing him to score.
See now the knee on the belly. Attempts to throw a punch, misses the head, hits the canvas.
Medrano switching off to front headlock. It looks like he's really, fishing for those submissions. I think he really likes those chokes. Oh, that is a gnarly neck crank right there.
So he loses it.
But wisely, Lemus goes to his back. That was definitely a smart move by him. I see him trying to use the cage, but I would really like to see him start trying to create more space instead of just holding Medrano down on him.
Yeah, Medrano finally getting to work on his top position. Though it hasn't been a lot of strikes from him, I'd like to see him be a little bit more active while he is in this position. So he throws a few shots at the body of Lemus.
Even though he hasn't been able to strike, really, he's still in a dominant position. He's still controlling Lemus.
Lemus attempting a submission, just not able to get these attempts.
Honestly, Lemus has spent so much time on his back in this round. He's definitely down. I'd like to see him really create some space and start trying to walk back up and get to his feet and start striking again.
The referee breaks him up. I don't know what I think about that. He was working.
They really want to see some action here. That's what I'm saying.
Both now standing, and Medrano closing the space, has Lemus his back against the cage. See if he will attempt a sweep or a throw to get Lemus back on the ground. Attempting a head and arm throw there, wasn't he? Didn't fully get it. It's both scrambling now. Lemus, just when you think he's in a good position, he loses it.
No, it's just, that comes down to fight experience and time in the gym, mat time. You just really need to focus on position before submission. I understand the intensity and the excitement and wanting to finish someone. However, if you're not in a good position for a submission, it's not going to happen. You're going to end up on the bottom in a compromising position, as Lemus is.
We come to the end of round number one, a round in which Medrano almost had Lemus out due to a guillotine. Firmly wins that round number one, I feel, in the judges' scorecards.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of striking ground and pound on the ground. However, Medrano definitely was controlling, pushing the pace, putting Lemus in bad positions that he had to fight out of.
See the corner of Lemus. Excuse me, that's Medrano giving him advice. I think that water was too cold for him. He spit it right out. As we have a replay of the action that happened from round number one, Jessica, She's here breaking the action where both fighters were working. You mentioned, I guess the referee wants to see more action.
Yeah, and I understand them wanting to really press the action. However, that wasn't necessarily a position that I say that you would stand them up. They weren't stalling. They were still trying to jock for position.
Medrano confident. The first round went his way. Has momentum coming into the second round now.
And if I'm the corner of Lemus, I would tell him, you've got to be first. You've got to put Medrano's back up against the fence and really control him. Keep your range for striking, and if you get down on bottom again, do not spend too much time going for those submission attempts that aren't there.
So we get round number 2, Medrano versus Lemus. Both fighters exchanging now. Medrano lands an overhand, follows it up with a kick.
One by Lemus.
Lemus taking the shots well as he answers back. Both fighters now in a scramble as Medrano gets the takedown, single leg.
Again, Lemus is working for some sort of kind of crucifix position, but again, it puts him in a bad position. Now he's on bottom. Medrano has knee on belly and is going to start trying to get that arm free, and once he does, he can posture up and punch and start scoring. There's a great opportunity for Lemus to get out the back, but he's holding on to these submission attempts that just aren't there.
Both scrambling now. Lemus getting up, but he's fighting off the takedown attempt of Medrano, who gets it. Though Lemus attempting to.
It looks like he has like he has a guillotine locked in. However, this is not necessarily this is not necessarily the position you want to be in. He wants to get into guard or use it to stand up and then get back into a sprawl position and ground and pound from there. But just holding on, he cannot hold on right there. He has to transition.
Yeah, he's going to gas his arms out. Some blood coming out, I believe, from the nose or mouth of Medrano.
And now Medrano finds his way back to guard. Getting his posture up. Oh, and passes right away. North-south position.
Yep. Lemus going through some trials here in this fight. Been in some really bad positions, been able to fight out of it.
Yeah, he's in it. I just think his fight IQ isn't quite there. He needs a little bit more mat time, a little more experience. And again, this is how you get it, unfortunately. You get it the hard way.
The hard way, yeah.
I'm seeing Lemus still wrapping up the head, trying to get a choke. However, this is not one of those positions that you want to go for a choke in. Because again, down on his back, Medrano on top. I'd like to see him turn Lemus's head up against the cage and start ground and pounding. He needs to get Lemus's hand off of the back of his head so he can capitalize on those punches.
Medrano attempting to land some strikes here in the guard of Lemus.
I mean, Lemus's guard was wide open right there. He can posture up, punch. As he's doing right now, he's starting to posture, but he's leaving his arm in there and giving Lemus an opportunity to submit.
It's difficult to see from this angle if Lemus does in fact have it. Nope, got out of it, of the attempt, but that was Lemus's first real attempt at a submission this round.
I mean, to his credit, he's going for him, but Medrano is just seeing him coming. He's able to stack him. He's able to shake him off.
Minute 25 left in round number 2. Seen Lemus on the defensive, trying to nullify the submission attempts of Medrano. Medrano's getting a point deducted now.
What was that for?
Not too sure what the point deduction was for.
Listo. Listo. Pelea.
I didn't see a foul there, Jessica.
I didn't see what happened either.
Medrano now might have some urgency to finish the fight because of that point deduction. So gets a hold of him, has his back now. Big slam there from Medrano.
Lemos back on the mat. Again, locking on, holding Medrano down on top of him. This is not what you want to do in this position. You want to keep scrambling and moving.
.30 seconds left. Let's see if Medrano is able to close out the round strong, put together some strikes here on this top position. It's been his round so far. He's landing elbows just moments ago. Lemus continues to lock him up, not allow too much space to open up between them as he gets him back in his guard. It's coming to the end, round number 2.
I'd really like to know what that point deduction was for.
Yeah, it might have been, it had to have been maybe an illegal strike at some point in there.
But I didn't see a warning at all.
I could only imagine that would be the only reason as to why a point deduction would occur. Lemus breathing really hard his corner, giving him a bit of air. If you take a look at the corner of Medrano, doesn't seem as fatigued as Lemus, but Medrano's been the one that's been making Lemus work, been the one that has been winning the rounds and putting the damage on Lemus. As the crowd here at the Auditorio Fausto Gutierrez Moreno giving both these warriors big ups. Final round here between Arturo Lemos and Antonio Medrano, as both fighters showing class. Beginning the round with the jab from Lemos. Front kick from Medrano. Not much mustard in either or strike. So he throws a leg kick. Does Medrano now coming forward.
Lemos again getting pushed up to the back of the cage. I really want to see him go first. I know he's looking, he seems to be more of a counter puncher, but this is the round. This is when you need to go for it. This is when you need to just really be first.
Lemus landed a good straight there, but
you know, he's landing. However, I'd like to see some feints. I'd like to see him set things up with the jab. He's really leading in with a
good elbows there for him.
He's ducking down and then going with that overhand right. And
yeah, he might be overextending a bit because he got in this position here because he overextended. Medrano was able to get the takedown there.
Yeah, he's throwing himself forward. He's throwing himself off balance, and that's making it really difficult to capitalize on the strike that he just landed.
Just trying to scoop the knee, but Lemos getting that arm. He had the arm under there to try to stop him from scooping up the knee.
I think Medrano has a far side single. It's going to be difficult for him to get that one. He'd need to switch off to a double leg to get
That's what I was just thinking right now. Why doesn't he switch off to the double leg?
Yeah, I mean, he may not have situational awareness right now. He may not exactly understand where he is.
There you go. A little bit better position now. Lemos on his back once more. Climbing against the cage to get some space. Try to get Medrano off of him, but Medrano back in the guard of Lemos. Medrano's working on here from the top.
And again, Lemos just holding him down. And I mean, he got what he wanted, you know?
And the referee not giving them any time as both fighters.
Hold on, I'm tired. Give me a second. This is when I get a little breather. And both men
Medrano,
right
heavy strikes, but hitting air as Lemus counters well. Medrano, though, is able to clinch him up, has his back against the cage. His corner, Medrano's that is, asking him to throw him, but needs to make sure he doesn't get thrown himself here with the head and arm. He's out of it now.
You have to be really careful with those throw attempts. You can put yourself into a bad position. You can get rolled. You can have your back taken. You have to be very, very careful. I like when people use those throws to kind of create space, to open up for strikes, to create a scramble.
Knee followed up by an overhand from Medrano and immediately going back.
And again, he keeps going to that single leg.
Awkward position here.
Oh, he has a crucifix.
Let's see if he's able to capitalize on this. This could be the moment.
Oh man, this is where you just got to go for it. Isolate that arm and just start raining down elbows. Try and come up on top.
This could be the break that Lemus was looking for. Medrano flips over.
Nice counter to it.
Nice transition. You don't ever see transitions like that too often. Usually when they get you in that position, it's pretty donezo at that point.
It is, but I mean, that was a great defense to it. It's definitely like a Jeff Glover type defense. And this is where I'd like to see Medrano just posture up and punch and finish strong.
It's going to be the final 30 seconds of this round number 3 between Medrano and Lemus. Been Lemus' best round so far. Might be a tough one to score for the judges at home. Medrano.
There we go. That's what I want to see. I want to see him posture up and punch, but he just keeps letting Lemus isolate his arm and giving him opportunity. I mean, I know he's confident against the submission attempts, but that just moving forward, that's something that he's going to need to work on.
Both fighters are gassed.
Both men exhausted, laying next to each other on the mat. You know. Somebody get a picture of that. That's awesome. I love that.
Flips off the camera. Good sportsmanship being shown by both fighters that they embrace in the center of the cage.
And I mean, what a battle. You know, that was a challenge for both men. They all did some good stuff. And I love that they can just, you know, smile and shake it off.
All smiles after. Take a look back at the action in round number 3. It's well, a break in the action as the end of round number 3 as both fighters are
both men just exhausted, embracing. They went through battle together.
Yeah, it reminds me of like a hard training session when like it's finally over and you're just collapsed. You're like, oh God, it's done.
You know, I love that part of training where you guys are just so physically exhausted. You guys pushed each other, you tested each other's limits. And then you can just, you know, smile and laugh.
Medrano thinks he's won. Cuts his hands in the air. Gives a thumbs up to the cameras as we await the judge's decision here in Tijuana. Lemus looks exhausted.
Being on bottom in an MMA fight can be absolutely exhausting. If I had to choose, I would choose top position every single time.
see him acknowledge the corner of Limes. Judge is taking a little bit longer. I always get a little worried when that happens.
Well, he also had that point deduction, which
That
I'd
is
still
very
like
true.
to know what that was about, what the ref saw that we clearly couldn't see from here.
Both fighters pacing around. They got to be thinking, you know, what's going on with what the judges are coming with. It gets you a little bit worried too if you think that Medrano should win this fight, but like you mentioned, Jessica, with the point deduction in that last round, you don't really know where it could go.
And you just never know what the judges are scoring. You don't know if they're scoring submission attempts. You don't know if they're scoring top position.
Believe we have a decision now in the hands of our ring announcer. Let's make it official. Let's see who won this fight.
Damas y caballeros, me complace en anunciar al vencedor de este combate. Los tres jueces dieron 29-27, por lo tanto, por decisión unánime, el vencedor de este combate, Antonio Tony Medrano.
We see Tony Medrano, who now improves his record to 3-4, clawing his way back into the win column with a unanimous decision win here in Tijuana over Arturo Limes. I felt that he won the fight. We saw it was 29-27, point deduction. He won all 3 rounds. And up now, the next fight of the evening, Mauricio Nieves taking on Aaron Villa. Nieves from Córdoba, Argentina. Well, like we mentioned to you, Jessica, never know what's going to happen in these shows. As we have...
That's a donkey. I was wondering what a donkey was.
There we go. It's a donkey and a zebra, along with his zonkey dancers. Oh, my God. He's doing the Fortnite dance. Oh, man. This is
How
hilarious.
do you know what the Fortnite dance is? I don't know what that is.
Oh, my goodness.
Where'd the zonkey go? I want the zonkey back.
So I believe this is some sort of sponsor deal with the arena. This was not scheduled. I wasn't made aware of this.
I'm not complaining. I like it. I like it.
Certainly an unexpected but welcome addition to tonight's broadcast. There's the man of the hour, the zonkey.
I want a selfie with the zonkey. Oh, he's got
Zonkey
moves.
got moves, right? Yeah. Oh, go Zonkey. Look at that. Are you going to jump in there, Jess? Show us your moves?
No.
A little break in the action here for you folks watching us over here on Fight Up TV. So we got the Zonky and his merry men of dancers.
The backup Zonkies.
The backup Zonkies, there you go. And while we see the Zonkies jumping around, getting all crazy, got to go ahead and mention one of our sponsors, Noe Fresh Handmade Skincare CBD Pain Relief. Go to noefresh.com and use the discount code GSSFresh for a 15% off discount. Noe Fresh has 1,000 milligrams of CBD in their pain relief cream. And the Zonky and his Zonky dancers are going to be using some of that cream for all that moving around they're doing, because Zonky is not moving around the way he was. It seems a little winded. I think that's the Zonky you take a picture with when you make your little trips to TJ with the donkey Zonky stand as a little kid. They put the hat on you.
Yes,
Yep.
I've seen him.
The Zonky has left the cage, as now we have still 7 more fights on deck for you, with our main event, Efrain Escudero taking on Leonard Smith Jr. But on deck now, Mauricio Nieves is going to take on Aaron Villa. Very evenly matched. Nieves with a 1-1 record from Cordoba, Argentina, taking on Aaron Villa, who has a record of 1-0 from Guayas, Sonora. A little break in the action at this point, as we await Nieves and Villa to come to the cage.
All right, back to business.
Yes, no more Zonkies.
I hope I get to see him later.
You want to hug the Zonky, huh?
I really want to hug the Zonky.
Here we go. More fights. No Zonkies. Next fight of the night, Aaron Villa, featherweight, 145 pounds. Makes his way to the cage. Villa from Sonora, Mexico. 1-0 record. It's a hard act to follow, no, Jess? Get that Zonky performance. Performance of the night bonus for those guys.
You know what? I think they just, reset the mood in here. We were already on a high. They brought it up to another level, and hopefully this fight takes us to another.
That's it. They stole the show. Zonky.
Well, let's hope not.
As Villa steps inside the cage, and his opponent now coming out from Córdoba, Argentina, Mauricio Nieves, walking in with the Argentine flag. Córdoba, nice region for wine, Jess.
Some Malbecs, I'm a fan.
Oh, he was. You know what's up then.
I love me some vino.
Long way from home is Nieves.
He's actually been doing a little bit of cross-training at Alliance. Recently crossed over the border, training over at Entrim, which is a very popular staple gym over in this area.
A lot of high-level training over there at Alliance. Your home gym, Jessica. A lot of world champions coming out of there.
We got some studs on the mats.
I would say so. I would say so. Interesting choice of music, though, from Nieves.
You know, whatever gets you pumped.
Does this get you pumped? Is this your jam?
It does not, but you know.
This should totally be your next walkout song. Tell him what song this is.
Actually, it's making me move my feet a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. Not gonna lie.
Damas y caballeros, Marshall Entertainment presenta el siguiente combate de la noche. Se presentan en una pelea pactada a 3 rounds por 5 minutos de acción. En la esquina azul, llegando con un peso de 64 kilos, 120 gramos, 6'4", 120, originario de Guaymas, Sonora, México, Jalón, el tiburón Rica. Su contrincante en la esquina roja, llegando con un peso de 66 kilos, 130 gramos, 6'6", 130, originario de Córdoba, Argentina, Mauricio Nieves.
Ya saben bien las reglas. Choquen las manos y cuando yo diga alto hay que parar. Cuidado con las rodillas en la cabeza cuando estoy en el piso. ¿Ok? Choquen las manos a sus esquinas. ¿Listo, peleador? ¿Listo, peleador? ¿Listo? ¡Pelea!
Here we go. Nieves versus Villa. 3 rounds in the featherweight division. Nieves with the black shorts with red writing. Villa with all black.
Via standing southpaw. This is a difficult stance to fight if you're not used to it. If you're standing orthodox, you now have to turn your right hand into your lead hand because that's what's most lined up for it. Oh, coming with a
he almost
big
just
hard
missed
right.
that. Yeah, that's the danger as a southpaw too is you get caught with that punch.
Nieves doing a nice job pressuring Villa up against the cage.
Good work with his knees in here.
Looks to have a nice body lock and drags him all the way down, but Villa stands right back up. I'd like to see Villa, instead of using his hand around, just kind of not really being useful, I'd like to see him start really trying to create some space, maybe grab around, redirect the head of Nieves so he could get some space and to strike.
Nieves, thought he was about,
Nieves just looks really physically imposing.
No, I thought he was going to be able to get that throw in, but he backs Villa.
Well, I mean, he's got that
right
body lock locked up, doing a nice job of opening it up with some knees.
There he goes, he attempts it and he gets it.
Really nice takedown.
now working in the guard of Villa.
Found himself on a 2-on-1 and stepped right around to side control. Really nice groundwork.
Villa with that knee, trying to stop the attempt of going into full mount from Nieves, but I think Nieves likes being in this position right here on side control.
I mean, it's a
a
very
lot of
dominant position.
Yeah, right.
I'd really like to see Villa utilize that arm. He tends to leave his arms out and vulnerable, and look at Nieves just going right away trying to get that key lock. He doesn't have it, but Villa really is in a compromising position.
Oh, it's a bad position.
Needs to create that space. So what he's doing right now while he's mounted is he's trying to create,
armbar attempt now from Nieves. Got it locked in, and it's over. Nieves, round 1, gets the victory.
That was really beautiful groundwork by Nieves. There was no wasted movement. Everything was super tight. That's the kind of experienced groundwork that I really enjoy watching in MMA. Villa just really didn't have the awareness, the movement that he needed to neutralize those positions and get out of it, create space so that he could be dominant in that fight.
Mauricio Nieves now improving his record to 2-1. Winning via armbar here in round number 1. So I believe we have a replay of the finish.
So there Nieves is. He kicks the leg over and starts really tweaking it up and just gives Villa no room for movement.
Yeah, he tapped right away.
Damas y caballeros, siendo el minuto 2 con 27 segundos del primer round, por la vía de sumisión armbar, el vencedor de este combate, Mauricio Nieves.
See both fighters embracing there. Nieves getting the win. It's always good to see that. Good sportsmanship being shown by Aaron Villa. He was forced to capitulate via Nieves armbar in round number 1 as he is proudly sporting the flag of Argentina. Nieves now stepping out of the cage. 5 more fights till we get to our main event. Next fight on deck is Jordan Harris from Palmdale, California, taking on Manuel "Manny" Reina. Both fighters sporting identical records, 1-0 for Harris and 1-0 for Reina. Kind of on edge, Jess. I don't know when that zonkey's gonna pop up out of nowhere again. Whenever we get a break like this in the action, like I'm kind of thinking, where's that zonkey at?
I mean, or what's next?
Yeah.
I just got a flash of maybe some like lucha fighters coming out.
Oh, that'd be
some
great.
masks.
Oh, that would be
A
awesome.
pro wrestling match going on.
If that's the case, I might as well jump in there, start doing jumping jacks and cartwheels. You see, I'm not too sure what's going on here. Just
Damas y caballeros, el promotor de esta empresa, señor Cristiano Franco, acaba de oficializar que próximos combates que vamos a tener de FNC Entertainment será para el mes de febrero. Y vamos a tener peleando a un peleador que ya tiene su marca bien registrada aquí en Marshall Entertainment. Él es Cristian Jiménez. Él va a tener su pelea de retiro en este próximo mes de febrero. Pues, gracias por pertenecer a esta empresa, antes que nada, esta empresa que poco a poco está construyendo una gran pues, cantidad de peleadores que están desarrollando muy bien. Muchas gracias por pertenecer a esta empresa en nombre de Marshall Entertainment. ¿Qué le quiere decir a esa gente que tanto te apoyó durante toda tu carrera? Pues antes que nada, buenas noches, Tijuana. Quisiera ahora sí que darle las gracias por venir a apoyar esta empresa que está levantando a través de las artes marciales aquí en Tijuana. Pues sí, ahora sí que se me da la oportunidad de regresar el año que entra. Regresamos más fuerte y esperemos verlos aquí, sigan apoyando el deporte. Vengo de regreso y esperemos dar el máximo con ustedes y que ustedes salgan contentos de aquí y adelante arriba Tijuana. Eso es, ahí lo tienen, él es Cristian Jiménez, que va a estar comenzando este próximo febrero. La empresa Marshall Entertainment va a tener su próximo evento este próximo mes de febrero. En unos minutos más, en unos segundos más, continuamos con más de esto, de estas artes marciales mixtas.
So that was just a short little PSA for people to know here in Tijuana that the next fight that this promoter is having will happen in February of next year, 2020. Jeez, 2020, wow. Year's gone.
Where did it go?
I don't know, where does life go? So we still await the entrance of Jordan Harris, who's set to take on Manuel REINA as our next bout. Oh, see movement here. Here comes Manuel "Manny" REINA. And there he is. Manuel "Manny" REINA making his way to the cage, sporting a 1-0 record. Tall for his weight division, 135 pounds. So he gets final instructions from his team. In an evenly matched fight, on paper, has an identical record to his opponent, who's about to make his way to the cage right now. Manny REINA. All smiles. And that is his opponent. Jordan Harris from Palmdale, California. explain to the crowd here at the Auditorium Fausto Gutierrez Moreno. Getting in the zone, getting into the music, getting into the moment is...
Getting our announcer into the zone, into the music.
There's Jordan Harris. Our ring announcer here feeling himself. Crazy J, Jordan Harris. Getting the crowd here crazy. So, you know, Jess, you being a fighter, how are these final moments before you step into the cage?
You know, walking down to the cage, it's, you know, you have the bit of the anxiety of the unknown, so many variables going on, so much just going through your head, but as soon as you enter that cage, it really all goes away. You're confident knowing that your preparation has all been taken care of up until this point, and you're just ready to have fun. And that's what it's really about, and sometimes fighters forget that. Sometimes I've forgotten that in the past, that it's about really having fun, really testing yourself, and this is what all the hard work adds up to.
Mauricio Entertainment FNT presenta el siguiente compromiso de la noche. 3 rounds de boxeo por 5 minutos de acción. 3 rounds of fighting, 5 minutes action. Damas y caballeros, ladies and gentlemen, no stepping back. Ya no hay marcha atrás, es tiempo de pelear. It's fighting time. Presentando primero en la esquina azul. Él detuvo la báscula en los 61 kilos, 500 gramos. Viste un pantaloncillo de color gris con blanco. He stopped the scale 61 kilos with 500 grams. He's wearing a white with gray trims. From Nogales, Sonora, México, Manuel MANNY REINA. Contrincante en la esquina roja. His opponent on the red corner. He stopped the scale at 61 kilograms. Se detuvo la báscula en los 61 kilogramos de peso. He's wearing a yellow with black trims. Él viste un pantaloncillo de color amarillo con negro. From Palmdale, California, Leonard
You love him.
Tercero en la superficie, Daniela Modaz.
All right, folks. Jordan Harris, Manuel Manny Reina standing in the middle of the cage getting final instructions from our referee. Harris from Palmdale, California, making a far drive out. More than 2 hours from there to get here to Tijuana, Mexico, where they experienced snow in the past few days. As we begin round number 1 in the bantamweight division, right off the bat, Jessica, Reina, extremely tall for the weight class.
Yeah, and he's using his range already really well. He's putting out his long punches, his long kicks. That's the style of fighting that you want to see from a taller, scrappier fighter.
kick there, caught by Harris. He's looking to capitalize in that position that he had Reina in, but Reina able to get up.
Reina uses those kicks really well. I mean, he uses them almost like they're a jab to find range.
Spinning back kick, missed there from Reina. Reina, though, lands an overhand straight, winding up, throws another kick. Fast pace so far from him.
Wow.
As Harris goes down, grabs the leg, though, attempts a single leg. Gets Reina on the ground.
And Reina's wrapping up his head. Again, this is not the position that you really want to be wrapping the head in. You have the Von Flu choke from there, but they're out of that position now. And again, Reina's still holding on very intently to that head. If he wants to finish that submission, he's got to get his legs back to guard. He can use it to stand up to get to a top position, but there's really no submission here at this point. Ooh. Oh, he switched it to an anaconda though. Still, that's a difficult submission to finish, especially when your opponent just stepped over to mount. I'd like to see him really let go of that head and start trying to create some space and work his way back up to his feet where he was landing those really hard kicks. Harris wisely starting to peel that hand off and raining down punches.
He's gonna look to work a very good position. As Reina attempting a sweep, trying to get out of the back door.
Really nice head, really nice hip pressure, and he's walking up trying to reestablish that position.
Good work being done by Harris. Probably going to want to keep Reina on the ground.
Those were some hard elbows.
He's going to want to keep him in this position just to avoid the offense of the taller Reina. He's looking to slip in the choke now.
Yeah, Reina's got to move. This is not a position that you want to sit in. The
Flattens him out.
Back mount is probably the worst position in MMA. Next to being mounted, he's got to get his back down to the mat, start pushing his knees, trying to get space. I don't like seeing guys turtle like this with somebody on your back. And now Harris is sinking in that choke. All he has to do really is tighten that grip and flatten out his hips.
And he does flatten out his hips. See if he's able to get it here.
Reina's still trying to fight off, wisely prying off that elbow and gives him a little bit more space to survive. Oh, but Harris right back at it, and this one doesn't look good. It looks like Reina's...
No, Reina eats a big elbow, though. Fighting off the mount position.
He keeps turtling to his back. I mean, this is just not where you want to go. I'd like to see him roll back to his back and then start working from there. And I think he's...
Flattens him out, it's all it. It's over. Jordan Harris gets the submission win.
You know, he put himself into that position 3 times. 3 times, and it just... Harris capitalized on it, but that's just one of those things that you really need to be aware of and make those adjustments on throughout the fight.
Jordan Harris now improving his record to 2-0. First round, a submission here in Tijuana, Mexico. And it was a good start for Manuel Reina as he was aggressive with his strikes and his natural advantage, but once they got to the ground, it was all Harris.
And here we see Harris establishing mount. Reina's trying to hold him down onto him so he doesn't rain down those punches, but Harris lands some really nice punches right here, opens him up. Reina has no choice but to turtle again, and that's when Harris sinks in his 3rd submission attempt with the guillotine, and he gets it this time. He's gonna start flattening him out. Hips in really, really nicely and gives Reina no choice but to tap.
You see Jordan Harris, all smiles, getting a nod from his teammate, Crazy J, getting the dub here in Mexico. getting props from his opponent, Manuel Manny Reina, and Reina shouldn't feel bad about this loss. He seemed very professional in there, and I feel that he has a good future ahead of him as well in this sport.
And again, that's what competition is all about. It's feedback. It's where you get to look at what you did good, look at what you could have done better at, and then go back to the drawing board in the gym and figure out what your next move is.
Damas y caballeros, ladies and gentlemen, a los 3 minutos con 39 segundos del primer asalto, 3 minutes, 39 seconds, round number 1. El vencedor por sumisión, Mataleón, the winner by submission, real naked choke submission, Jordan Harris.
So you see a victorious Jordan Harris with his hand raised.
And it was a really impressive victory. I mean, he stayed calm in certain precarious situations. He was very methodical about how he approached his ground game. He didn't really give Reina too much room to move. However, when he did let him move, he let him move into a position where he could capitalize on.
So we move along here to our card, where our main event is going to be Efrain Escudero taking on Leonard Smith Jr.
We have another surprise.
Yeah, a minor break from the action. Last time this host was in. Oh no, the Zonky's back. He's back.
Where's
he makes
my
another
boy?
appearance. Oh my goodness. Well, I guess we're getting an encore performance from the Zonky and his little Zonkettes. So after this encore Zonky performance, we have Michael Lugo taking on Daniel Hernandez. Stitch Regalado taking on Isaac TERAN. Enrique LARA taking on Adolfo de la Torre. Jesus Navarrete taking on Christopher PLASENCIA. And of course, our main eventers, Efrain Escudero and Leonard Smith Jr. later tonight. I want to go ahead and remind you folks that the Best in Boxing will be back in December. You can catch me on the small screen as well. PBC on Fox. Our next show coming up December 21st. Charlo versus Harrison 2, the rematch. I'll be the Fox unofficial scorer for that fight. Go ahead and follow Jessica Penne as well at Jessica Penne on Instagram and Twitter. Follow me as well at Hey It's Marcos V. We're seeing some entertainment for the fans here in attendance. So we want to give a big thanks to one of our sponsors, No E Fresh Handmade Skincare CBD Pain Relief. Go to noefresh.com and use the discount that you see on your screens right now, GSS Fresh, for a 15% off discount for the No E Fresh CBD Pain Relief Cream. For more information, go to noefresh.com and get your fresh fix of 1,000 milligrams of CBD to relieve your joint and muscle soreness. There's the Fortnite dance again. Guy's getting down.
I still don't know what that is.
So can we get you in there, Jess?
Still no.
Still no?
It's still a no. Maybe after a shot of tequila. Maybe after one of these cervezas that they're popping around.
All right, well, that does it for the second appearance of the Zonky here at the Auditorio Fausto Gutierrez Moreno. Last week we saw Chavez and Eric Morales have a sparring match here that filled the arena up to the rafters, and today we have the Zonky. Nothing beats the Zonky. All hail the Zonky. As we continue the night's action here tonight. Getting back to the fights. Marcos Villegas on the call, being joined with Jessica Penne. As we await the entrance of one man named Daniel Hernandez from Tijuana, Mexico. And there he is. Hernandez trying to get a win on his record. Coming into this, his third professional bout of his career. Has an 0-2 record. Has a tough test in front of him, taking on Miguel Lugo from Yuma, Arizona. As Hernandez with his corner, getting his last-minute instructions, and a slap in the face by his one of his cornermen, and another slap. All right, and a kiss.
Medrano, who we saw in the previous fight, looking to be in the corner.
Good eye there, Jess Penne.
Hey, thank you.
Hernandez now steps inside the cage. This fight happening at 165 pounds.
And I really love the fact that they have that catch weight. There really needs to be a gap in between 155 and 170. Jump. It's a huge jump, as is 170 to 185.
Yeah, that's another big jump, too. That's 2 weight classes. As we see now, the shadow of Michael Lugo behind the curtain as he's warming up and is about to make his way over to the cage. Fighting out of Arizona. Lugo with a 1-0 record. Part of the Yuma top team.
And we have the part of the main event in the corner.
And that's a not too common thing to see, right, Jessica?
No, it's really not that common. Usually fighters are focused on themselves backstage. But In a previous interview, Efrain talked about how he's been finding himself in coaching, mentoring positions with his fighters, with his teammates, and so that is where he's transitioning to. So I mean, hats off to him. I think that's awesome that he's taken the time, out of his fight night to support his teammate.
And he has his hands wrapped up too.
He's always ready.
He's always ready. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Look, he takes a selfie with the fan.
Taking selfies.
Right, he's about to fight in like an hour.
No biggie, cool, calm, and collected. And
Yeah.
honestly, like, why shouldn't he be? He's been everywhere in this sport, from the top to the bottom.
As both our fighters are in the cage now, let's take it up to our ring announcer to make the fight official.
Entertainment FNC presenta el siguiente compromiso de la noche. 3 rounds de combate, 5 minutos de acción. Presentando primero en la esquina azul, el de la báscula, 75 kilogramos de peso. Viste un pantaloncillo de color negro con plateado. De Tijuana, Baja California, México. Del gimnasio que porra, Daniel Hernández. Oponente, contrincante, rival, en la esquina roja, el de túbulo masculino, 75 kilogramos de peso. Viste un pantaloncillo color rojo con blanco. De Yuma, Arizona, USA, Miguel Lugo. Tercera en la superficie, Daniela Moda.
Peleadores, ya saben bien sus reglas. Hagan una pelea limpia. Cuando yo diga alto o stop, me voy a separar. Choquen las manos a sus esquinas. Peleador listo. Peleador listo. Listo. Pelea.
Here we go, action underway here at 165 pounds. Miguel Lugo, the red shorts, taking on Daniel Hernandez in the black shorts. Both fighters exchanging. Kick from Hernandez. Lugo, though, coming forward.
Luca coming in with a
takedown
nice
attempt there.
overhand right, set it up.
A scramble happening here.
Lugo with relentless pressure to pass that guard of Hernandez. I like that he reached for the head, passed right to mount.
Punches,
Establishing
big ones
position,
being landed
raining
by Lugo
punches
now.
down. And this is what I like to see when somebody's in mount. You're not.
That's a bad position. Hernandez is going to have to defend himself.
No, what Hernandez needs to do, he needs to start pushing that leg, getting his hips out. At the very least, he needs to start bringing Lugo down on top of him. It's just a terrible position to be in.
Big knees being landed by Lugo. It's all him at this point, very early on in this round number 1.
Lugo looking to isolate a leg, or excuse me, an arm.
These are big
He's
shots
really
being landed.
He's posturing all the way up and raining those elbows down. The ref is looking like she wants to possibly intervene. I'm really hoping that she lets it go.
Hernandez trying his best to get out of this position.
He is, but Lugo's mount is just really impressive.
Blood coming from it. The eye of Hernandez.
Lugo now isolating the arm, looking for a key lock. It looks like he's going to get it too. Hernandez fights it off, but to no avail. He's still in that mounted position.
And it's been
And
all
looks-
Lugo at this point.
The ref is letting him know that he needs to definitely
Big punches
start
being
working.
landed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's
it's all
seen
over.
enough, and I'm
Good
not mad
call
at
there
that one.
from the referee as Daniel Lugo, an impressive stoppage win over here in Tijuana, just overwhelmed Daniel Hernandez. Got on top of him and just pummeled him.
I mean, that pressure, that relentless pressure, as soon as he got him down, he worked to pass, worked to get to mount, and he just stayed on top of him the whole time. It was very textbook.
So we see Hernandez bleeding, cut, I believe on the left eye, on the side of the head.
Yeah, I'm definitely not mad at that stoppage. You want to give the fighter every single opportunity to defend themselves, to get out of a position, and that's a difficult position for anyone to be in.
We take a look back at the final moments before the stoppage. Lugo on top, raining just big punches on Hernandez. Hernandez just in a bad spot, covering up, and the ref smartly stopping the fight.
Hernandez just seemed so overwhelmed and just didn't exactly know what to do to get out of that position and to get into a better position.
Lugo looks like he could still do a few rounds too. All smiles. It's a one win in the win column for their team, with Efrain Escudero looking to add another win in the main event. He steps in the cage. Does Efrain Escudero, who's, you notice, hands are taped up.
Hands are taped up, ready to go. Efrain Escudero joining his teammate. And oh, I see the gremlin, Danny Martinez, my Alliance teammate back there too. Arizona native, looking to support his friends.
Ladies and gentlemen, a los 2 minutos con 29 segundos del primer asalto, 2 minutes, 29 seconds, round number 1. El vencedor por nocaut técnico, the winner by TKO, Miguel Lugo!
So we see Miguel Lugo get a big stoppage win here. Bloodied up our broadcast booth here because he had that cut open as he's posing with his teammates. So you see our main eventer, Efrain Escudero, opposing with him as well. He's fighting in our main event, taking on Leonard Smith Jr. Good performance from Lugo, Jessica.
I mean, it really was textbook. It was a very dominant performance. And this is the kind of thing that Efrain was talking about, where he trains with killers. He, you know, is constantly tested, pushed to the limits. He trains with people that are constantly trying to make a name off of his name. When you have a name like that and you walk into a gym, everybody wants to test themselves with you. And that's just going to take you to the next level, whether you are that person that they're trying to build yourself off of, or you know, the one that you're testing yourself to.
Up next, Stitch Regalado taking on ISSAK TERAN. This fight in the lightweight division. As we await the entrance of ISSAK TERAN. TERAN, record of 1-0. Looking for the second win of his career, taking on Stitch Regalado, who has 3 total fights. This will be the 4th fight that he has in his pro career. So he's about to make his way inside the cage. That is not Miguel Lugo coming out. Miguel Lugo just fought. This is ISSAK TERAN. He's taken this fight here with Stitch Regalado. See him walking out, doing a little bit of shadow boxing as he makes his way to the cage. Random question, Jessica Penne. You having long hair. Isaac TERAN has long hair. How long does it take to get your hair braided like that?
You know, if you get a good braider, you can be done within an hour. He doesn't
hour?
have.
That
he
seems
doesn't
like it's
have.
longer than that.
He doesn't have too many braids. He only has 4, and they're standard cornrow, so it didn't take that long.
Look at you. You're
If they have fast fingers, it's like 30 minutes tops.
A braiding expert right here.
I have had my hair braided many, many times. Some stayed in, some didn't. Some had to be fixed in between rounds. Some didn't even make it to the fight.
Did you ever have to get it cut in between rounds?
Oh, no.
No?
Oh, no.
That happened to a fighter by the name of Paulie Malignaggi when he had a fight against Ricky Hatton.
That was the first fight I ever saw of him.
No way, was it really?
Yeah.
He had to get his braids cut.
He did.
Poor guy. Recently, Sean Porter, close to missing weight with his fight against Yordenis Ugas, had to get his braids cut off to go ahead and make weight. You see now the entrance of Stitch Regalado. The fans here in Tijuana coming out for him, has a good contingent of fans as he makes his way to the cage. This fight happening at the lightweight division, though. Regalado, according to our bout sheet, weighing in at 157 pounds. His opponent, TERAN, weighing in at 156 pounds. So I guess they gave him a 2-pound leeway for this fight. Always a interesting choice of music for when fighters come out.
What would you walk out to?
That's a good question, Jessica Penne. Very good question. I think...
Never given it some thought?
I don't think I have. Now that I
What do
think
you
about
listen
it.
to when you're driving down the street?
Whatever the
freeway?
Zonky was listening to, that's what I listen to. I want to be on that guy's level. So he's getting his finals instructions from the referee. And inside the cage is Stitch Regalado. Kind of looks like Babalu.
You know, he does have a Babalu-esque.
Right?
He really does.
With
It's
the
that
tattoo
scowl and the tattoo.
Yeah.
The haircut, how he holds his head. Wow.
Going way back into the memory banks there, huh?
Oh, man. He's one of my favorite fighters growing up. How can you not love him?
Sí, caballero. Marshall Entertainment presenta el siguiente combate de la noche. Se presentan en una pelea pactada a 3 rounds. En la esquina azul, llegando con un peso de 71 kilos, 110 gramos, 7'1", 110, originario de Tijuana, Baja California, ISSAK Jesus TERAN. Su contrincante en la esquina roja, llegando con un peso de 71 kilos, 590 gramos, 590, originario de Tijuana, Baja California, Gustavo Regalado.
Cuando yo diga alto o stop, hay que parar. Cuando estoy abajo en el piso, cuidado con la rodilla, no hay nada en la cabeza. Choquen las manos a sus esquinas.
Here we go, Regalado versus TERAN. TERAN in the black shorts, Regalado in the black shorts with red trim. Round number one. Lightweights going to action here in Tijuana, Mexico. TERAN with a series of kicks. Start off the round. As he comes in, misses with this flurry of punches just now. TERAN mixing up his offense real well.
Oh!
TERAN
wasting no time, but oh! He dove on him, just was a little bit too high, and he ended up falling down. Now he's into guard. Regalado's gonna look to turn him. Oh, maybe bring him to his corner and put his head up against the cage. Posturing up, trying to create some sort of offense, but TERAN is all over him with some sweep attempts, some submission attempts.
TERAN attempting to get that arm bar now.
Again, if Regalado isn't careful, he could end up in an arm bar. TERAN seems to be climbing up. Oh, and he's out of it. If I were Regalado, I would take a breath, just kind of get into a position where I can be dominant and strike, because he keeps putting himself into these compromising positions where he's off balance and TERAN can possibly capitalize. Regalado posturing, but his arms are not really creating that kind of frame that you need to be safe inside of a guard, as active as TERAN.
Regalado raining down a few strikes here. There is a cut now on the head of TERAN. Let's see how that changes the tempo of the fight.
Every time Regalado postures up like that, he's giving TERAN an opportunity to sweep or an armbar attempt. He has to be careful with that.
Regalado continues to work. TERAN doing a good job of neutralizing any sort of offense that comes his way.
No, he really is, but I think he's opened up pretty badly.
Yeah, now he has.
Covering up as Regalado rains down punches, and this is one of those things where I think he needs to really open up that guard and just try and get back up to striking. He was doing well on his feet.
Yeah, Regalado just unloading on him now.
TERAN just seems very singularly focused on trying to get that submission, and I don't think this is a great position to be in for him.
Now he's taking a lot of damage. His name is Stitch, but he's given TERAN already a cut that's going to require stitches on his forehead. This little break on the offense from Stitch Regalado at this point. Big elbows now dropping down on TERAN.
And TERAN swings for another armbar attempt, and he's got it pretty locked, but Regalado's doing a really good job of stacking him and creating that pressure so that TERAN can't get his hips out and really solidify that submission.
See if he's able to get that arm out. Yeah, got it out.
That cage was just in the way. It's just really neutralizing the attacks of TERAN.
Regalado once again with the elbows.
TERAN now with an open half guard kind of position. Again, I think he's staying on bottom way too long, and now he's about to give up his back.
A bad position here.
Regalado smells blood, and he wants to finish it.
This Regalado just unloading.
And
it's all over. Regalado getting the knockout victory here. And man, TERAN's a bloody mess. This Regalado with the win here. Very dominant and impressive one. Just busted up the forehead of TERAN as we see Stitch Regalado there overcome with emotion.
I mean, that was a big win. That was a relentless pace.
Oh, look at that cut. Ooh.
Yeah,
It's a nasty one.
Yeah, that
one's gonna need some stitches, for sure. As TERAN, overjoyed.
And let's check out this replay. We have Regalado mounted, really raining down punches, and TERAN is just covering up. He's hurt, and he just has nowhere else to go, and Regalado smells blood. He wants to finish it, and the ref has basically seen enough at this point, especially when TERAN started turning to give up his back for just a second. It just shows that he's not intelligently defending himself, and that's when the ref needs to step in. It was a good call.
Fans here in attendance showing some love to Regalado. Surprised that his corner hasn't wiped the blood off of him yet. He dedicates this fight for his dad, as that's what it said on the shirt there, for my father, para mi papá. Probably the reason why he's overcome with emotion. We get the official particulars of this fight.
Damas y caballeros, siendo el minuto 4 con 22 segundos del primer asalto por la vía del knockout técnico, el ganador de este combate, Gustavo Regalado.
We see Isaac TERAN there giving props to his opponent, Stitch Regalado. Still has the blood of his opponent on him. Surprised that his corner hasn't wiped him down. Does that ever gross you out? When you're on top of an opponent, it's just a flood of blood all over you?
No.
No?
It's part of the job, you know. You don't really think about it when you're in it. Afterwards, maybe.
That's why you guys are different than normal people.
Yeah, it's not normal.
It's not at all.
One, it's not normal to go in to a cage, have the door locked behind you, and just agree to fight someone and punch and kick each other in the face.
It's a scary feeling when you hear the pin drop and it's like clank, because you know, like, okay, well, I can't get out of here. This is it.
That's usually what I thought when I was in the back. I'm like, why am I doing this? What am I doing? Why do I keep doing this? And then afterwards, win, lose, or draw, I'm like, sign me up. I want to do it again.
As we're just 3 fights away from our main event. Efrain Escudero stepping inside the cage, looking to inject some much-needed momentum in his career, taking on Leonard Smith Jr. But before we get to that, ENRIQUE BOMBON LARA, which is probably one of the best nicknames I've heard.
What does that mean?
Memory. Bonbon, I don't know. Bonbon? I'm not too sure. It can mean many things, some of which I probably can't say on air.
It's like
right
a little
now.
booty, right?
Yeah.
That's what you call like a booty.
And
I mean, I'm not fluent in Spanish or anything, but
it's slang for something else. But
Well,
taking on ADOLFO Monster de la Torre. Enrique Lara from here in Tijuana, sporting a 3-2 record. And while his opponent De La Torre sports a record of 8-9, does have more pro experience than him. Heavyweight action coming for you. The big boys now stepping inside the cage. Let's hope that we get some big action here. This is the best in MMA, live from the Auditorium Fausto Gutierrez Moreno. And BOMBON means marshmallow in Spanish, but it could mean
what else could it mean, Marcos?
Many things.
What else could it mean?
Yeah, I'll tell you after the broadcast. As I believe this is the entrance of the monster, Adolfo de la Torre. And there he is. 304 pounds is Adolfo Monster de la Torre. He's a big dude stepping inside of the cage. He's opting to keep his shirt on. Might be a Mexican thing.
Well, it is pretty cold in here. I wouldn't blame
It is. It's very cold. It's chilly in here. De La Torre looking to get on the win column. 8 wins, 9 losses. Looking for that 9th win to start on not a clean sheet, but be on even terms, as De La Torre forgot his cup.
A little bit of a technical difficulty.
Very important thing to have in there. There's too much monster in him for the cup.
I've never had to wear a cup myself. However, I feel like that's not something that I would forget if I needed to wear it. I feel like that's a pretty important piece of equipment.
Very important.
Just like a mouthpiece.
Yes.
You know?
An essential. Now get this, Jessica. The total weight of both these guys combined, 500 plus pounds of meat and flesh inside the cage. So hoping that leads to
what does this cage hold?
Well, apparently it holds a zonkey and his many, many minions in there. So
yeah, but they're not thrashing around there like Godzilla and King Kong.
They're doing much more. What do you mean? Fortnite dances, break dances, zonkey dances. As De La Torre went back to his locker room to grab his cup.
I just don't know how you can forget that. I guess he was just so excited.
Yeah, he was.
That he forgot. And
maybe he's monsterly packing and he couldn't fit it. Oh, doo-doo-doo.
Inappropriate, inappropriate.
Here we go. De La Torre's back now. Got his cup. As he now steps inside the cage. His opponent, Enrique Bonbon Lara. Always great to hear Guns N' Roses. As it comes out now.
Oh, and he's a hype man, too.
He does. And here he is. 291 pounds. Enrique Lara coming in with a record of 3-2. A lot of fans here in the arena for him. The monster versus the marshmallow. Bonbon. With the recent win of Andy Ruiz Jr., Jessica, that looks kind of back in style now. You don't need muscles. Muscles don't win fights.
Listen, if you've got power, you can finish a fight fast.
Shout out to Andy Ruiz. Rematching Anthony Joshua next weekend in Saudi Arabia for the heavyweight championship of the world. Ruiz, of course, getting a huge upset, becoming the unified heavyweight champion. Giving gym memberships decline in sales. You don't got to work out to win fights. You can look like these guys in here.
I think that's what's the most exciting thing about heavyweight fights. One punch will end it quickly.
Very, very true.
Entertainment FNT 5 presenta la pelea de eliminatoria. 3 rounds de combate, 5 minutos de acción. Damas y caballeros, ya no hay marcha atrás. Es tiempo de pelear. Presentando primero en la esquina azul. Él detuvo la báscula en los 138 libras, 200 kilos, 200 gramos. Viste un pantaloncillo de color negro con rojo. De Tijuana, Baja California, México, el arte marcialista, Adolfo, el monstruo de la torre. Contrincante, oponente, rival, en la esquina azul, él detuvo la báscula en los 132 kilos de peso. Viste un sexy pantaloncillo de color naranja con negro. De Tijuana, Baja California, México. Enrique, el bombón, el bombón.
What a stare down there, Jessica. These guys want to get in there and throw some heavy leather now.
They are ready to go.
Quieren una pelea limpia, una pelea dura. Obedezcan sus instrucciones en todo momento y protejan de todo momento. Choquen guantes. En lugares.
Our first heavyweight fight of the night. Enrique Bonbon Lara taking on Adolfo Monster de la Torre. Here we go, over 500 pounds of flesh inside the cage right now. Big guys going at it.
Ooh, Lara comes out with a heavy kick, and De La Torre returns the favor.
Good probing kicks there for weighing close to 300 pounds.
That's dangerous, though. If you're not setting those kicks up and you're going for leg kicks, you are susceptible and in range to get caught with that big overhand right.
I was going to say, Lara very mobile for being a guy that weighs 300 pounds.
He's
Good
definitely
movement
light
there.
on his feet and landing some heavy body kicks on De La Torre.
Oh, eats a stiff jab there from De La Torre. De La Torre now has Lara pressed against the cage.
I
Has
see
a
some
lock-in.
fingers in the cage, actually.
The referee warns him from using that.
De La Torre has a body lock. If he wants to If he wants to go for the takedown, he's going to need to, oh, he has an over.
I don't think De La Torre is going to want to get outside of this position here. He's going to get leg kicked again. It's safe for him to work inside here, close the distance a little bit. Gets turned around though from Lara. Lara attempting to scoop him up, gets a single leg.
Oh, De La Torre is grabbing that fence. Lara now pressing De La Torre up against the cage, using good pressure, good head position, but still not really mounting him much offense. He's got to create some space to open up some room.
There's a space right there. Both standing up now. De La Torre with some offense, blocks the jab. Lara responding with a two-punch combination, now with a power jab. Swinging heavy as he, Lara lands a knee.
And I'd really like to see him create some space and just start raining down punches.
De La Torre trying to push.
Oh, big right,
Lara.
big uppercut, followed by another hook, and then drops levels for a takedown attempt.
Lara scooping up, De La
Big
Torre gets him
slam.
down.
I do not think this is where De La Torre wants to be. He's got to create some space, open up that half guard, use the cage to get back up.
The crowd on their feet here because these are some big boys throwing some big blows. As Lara, good position here, landing some big elbows now.
I'd love to see him posture up and just really start raining down those punches. You know he's got power in his hands. Half guard is just such a great position, especially top half guard in MMA. It allows you to just really do that, to posture up, punch, and you're not worried about anything. You just rain down punches.
And that's exactly what Lara's doing. Busted open, De La Torre. Ref is close to stopping it. Lara continuing his offensive assault. Has De La Torre in trouble.
No, De La Torre doesn't really have an answer for it. He's just trying to block.
He's in a bloody
the
mess.
ref
It looks like the
enough.
ref is gonna finish it. It's gonna stop it, that's it. Enrique Lara
Making
gets the
quick
win here.
work.
Make De La Torre's face match his hair. Seen all red as Bonbon, the marshmallow, gets another win. The crowd up on their feet, appreciating the work that he did here tonight. All smiles, all hugs in his corner. You got the little Bonbon there, running up to him, giving him a hug. See a replay of the stoppage here, Jessica. Just in a world of hurt is De La Torre.
Yeah, De La Torre is really not mounting any kind of defense right now. He's reaching for those punches. He just doesn't have an answer, and Lara is just raining him down. And the ref is just about seen enough right
He's in
here.
a puddle of his own blood there in the corner. Big damage being dealt to him. There's a cut on the left eyelid of De La Torre that had him leaking like a faucet.
Damas y caballeros, ladies and gentlemen, a los 3 minutos con 38 segundos del primer asalto, 3 minutes, 38 seconds, round number 1, el vencedor y finalista para Marshall Heavyweight Champion, Enrique, el bombón Lara!
He is quite the character.
Yeah, he is. As the two heavyweight fighters embrace, Lara and De La Torre giving each other props. Lara, a funny guy, a lot of personality. De La Torre, though, was game as well, got his licks in, but was just overwhelmed by the offense of Lara. As Lara is about to speak on his big TKO win right now.
Unas palabras para ese público maravilloso que te viene a apoyar en todo momento, Bombón.
Quiero agradecerle a toda la gente que vino a apoyarme, todos aquellos que están protegidos por el manto azul, toda mi familia y todos mis amigos y fans que vinieron a verme. Y en especial a mi mamá, que se quedó llorando cuando me vine. La amo.
Muy bien. Unas palabras del monstruo que, pues, hace su retorno a la jaula. ¿Cuáles son tus experiencias nuevas?
Bueno, primero que todo, quiero dar las gracias a toda la gente que me ha apoyado, patrocinadores, Jokers Entertainment, y otros que han estado ahí para mí, para mi familia. Quiero agradecerles por el cariño que me han demostrado a mí y a mi familia. Esto no es un tropiezo, simplemente es aprendizaje. Nos vemos en el siguiente evento, siguiente pelea, no importa el oponente, vamos a trabajar igual. En este caso, creo que Enrique tuvo suerte. Para la próxima no vamos a pasar así. Quiero agradecer a Tijuana, porque es el mejor público de México. ¡Arriba Tijuana!
Ahí lo tienen.
So we just heard both the big boys speak on the performance, the fight that they just had. As we're now just 2 fights away from our main event. But before that, Jesus NAVARRETE will take on Christopher PLASENCIA. And then our main event happens right after. Efrain Escudero taking on Leonard Smith Jr. We thank you for watching us over here at the Best in MMA on Fight Up TV, brought to you by Global Sports Streaming. It's Marcos Villegas here on the call with Jessica Penne in a chilly auditorium, Fausto Gutierrez Moreno, as the heavyweight action that just happened kind of warmed things up a little bit. Still continue to be a little bit chilly.
It got
though.
the blood flowing of
Got the
everybody
blood
in the
going.
audience.
That is true. Got everybody pumped up.
I still can't feel my toes, but I'm hoping soon.
So we want to give a big shout out and thank you to our sponsors, Noe Fresh CBD Pain Relief Cream. Go ahead and use the discount code GSS Fresh for a 15% off discount and get your fresh fix of 1,000 milligrams of CBD on any of those aches, pains, or sores that you have from a hard days of work in the gym or at your job or from nagging from your significant other. Take the pain away. Use Noe Fresh CBD Pain Relief Cream to numb all that pain away. And coming up in our main event, Efrain Escudero takes on Leonard Smith Jr. Escudero, an MMA veteran, fought in the UFC, was a winner of the Ultimate Fighter, sporting a record of 30-16. Leonard Smith Jr., San Diego native, has made a short trek over here to Tijuana, Mexico for him, sporting a 10-8 record. Both fighters looking to get back on the winning path, looking to land a significant fight at this point of their careers, looking for bigger paydays, and really looking for a second chance, one final run. It's something significant for both of them. coming up next, our second co-feature, our co-main event. Jesus Navarrete, Christopher Plasencia, heavyweights, more heavyweights coming to the cage very, very shortly. As now the entrance of one Christopher Plasencia making his way to the cage. From right here in Tijuana, Mexico. 2-1, 262 pounds. There he is, Christopher Plasencia. All smiles. Getting his instructions from the referee. Giving his corner love. Takes on Jesus Navarrete, who's undefeated. Weighed in the same weight, or just about the same weight as him, at 264 pounds. Plasencia looking to add another W to his record. Navarrete now is going to make his way to the cage, making that ring walk where there's a lot of thoughts and emotions going on through your head, right, Jessica?
Absolutely. I mean, this is the calm before the storm. This is where you have to let go of all those doubts, the anticipation. You just kind of got to embrace the moment. This is your time to have fun.
Navarrete, you see, with his team. Young looking kid. Both fighters have the same amount of experience. Plasencia with one more pro fight, but pretty much even in that aspect.
Both men have the 2 wins by knockouts to their credit. So I think it's safe to say, if I was a betting gal,
fingers crossed, that we get something like that. Both men are now in the cage. It's the man right before us right there. Jesus Navarrete, that's his opponent, Christopher Plasencia. All right, let's get the action started. Let's toss it up to our ring announcer.
Marshall Entertainment, FNC, se complace en presentar la siguiente pelea de la noche. Esta pelea es por eliminatoria. De aquí veremos quién va a ser el próximo contendiente al título de Marshall Heavyweight Champion. Presentando primero en la esquina azul. Él detuvo la báscula en los 118 kilos, 900 gramos. Viste un pantaloncillo de color gris con amarillo. De Tecate, Baja California, México. Christopher, el malandro, más malandro. ¡Plasencia! Su oponente en la esquina roja. Él detuvo la báscula en los 121 kilos de peso. Viste un pantalón de color negro con rojo. Viene con un récord profesional de 3 peleas ganadas y 0 perdidas. De Tijuana, Baja California, México, Jesús Navarrete. El tercero en la superficie, Edgar o López.
Que era una pelea limpia. Obedezcan mis instrucciones en todo momento y protéjanse en todo momento. Choquen guantes a sus esquinas, por favor.
More heavyweight action headed our way here in our co-main event. Jesus Navarrete taking on Christopher Plasencia. Action about to get started. Our co-main event here at the auditorium. Fausto Gutierrez Moreno happening now. Big punch there.
Oh, big elbow.
Being landed by Navarrete. Digging to the body, mixing it up, uppercuts, straights, almost getting away the ref.
Oh, man. Plasencia is trying to kind of reach at him and close the distance, but he's eating a lot of punches in the process.
Navarrete slipping that straight from Plasencia. Lands a jab, follows it up with an overhand.
Oh, nice jab
Good
and overhand right.
Plasencia's out.
Oh.
He's done. Good night. Jesus Navarrete making quick work of Christopher Plasencia. Puts him out. Plasencia doesn't know where he's at.
And that is the fun thing about heavyweight fighters. Skill set does not necessarily matter.
All it takes is one punch from the big boys. Plasencia just overwhelmed right from the get-go.
There were some times where he was making some veteran moves, trying to clinch up, trying to slow Navarrete down, but he just ate too many punches in the process, and it ended up.
And at heavyweight, you can't take flush punches like that from any heavyweight because they're just too big of a guy. There's a lot of power behind it, a lot of weight behind it. It doesn't matter, you know, the chin can only take so much. You're gonna go down eventually.
Plasencia back up to his feet, and Navarrete goes and embraces his opponent. It's a good sign of sportsmanship.
Being attended to by the medic, paying extra attention to his nose. Doesn't look like it's a break at all, but could be possible.
But you never know. With
yeah, you don't.
With heavyweights, you just can hit so hard.
Ladies and gentlemen, a los 38 segundos del primer asalto, 38 seconds of round number 1, el vencedor por knockout, the winner by KO, Jesús Navarrete.
Jesus Navarrete now improving his record to 4-0.
Damas y caballeros,
just knocking out
Jesús
Christopher Plasencia.
Navarrete. Jesús
Solid win
Navarrete
from him.
Entra a la
As we
final por
now
el
await our main
World
event, but
Champion.
Navarrete about to have some words
¿Qué
inside the
tienes
ring,
que decir?
talking about his KO win.
Dinos algo a este público, por favor.
Primero, antes que nada, por eso a Dios, ¿no? Porque pues siempre es el primero, ¿no? Y después a la familia, porque la familia es lo más importante. Y pues también a los coaches, a los patrocinadores, a todos, así que el trabajo es hace completo.
¿Cómo? Yo la verdad quiero preguntarte algo personal. ¿Cómo le haces? Porque en todas tus peleas que yo te he visto pelear, siempre entras con una tranquilidad que muy pocas veces se mira. ¿Cómo le
Oh,
haces
look at
para
this.
tener esa tranquilidad?
Bonbon Marshmallow entering the ring now. I think we're getting a good old-fashioned call out here, Jessica.
You know, at the end of a fight, I saw Lara kind of signaling that he wanted the belt. And I think this definitely sets up for a nice title fight right now.
Pues bien hecho. Aquí tienes al Bombón, también vencedor y finalista, para ver quién de estos dos va a salir World Champion Heavyweight de esta hermosa empresa. Bombón, ¿listo, Bombón?
Más que listo.
Navarrete. Pues tenemos la gran final este próximo febrero. World Champion Heavyweight.
I think we just made a fight on the spot right here.
Muchas felicidades y esperemos que vengan óptimos
Navarrete
para disputar este campeonato
and
que a ver
Lara
con quién de los dos
look
se
like
va
they're in
a
a
quedar.
collision
Muchas
course
gracias.
in the near future, as we transition now over to what will be our main event of the evening. Efrain Escudero taking on Leonard Smith Jr. This is our main event here at the Best in MMA, which will happen in a few short moments. Efrain Escudero, 13-year pro, had his pro debut in June of 2006, age 33, said he's going through a rough patch the last year and a half, wasn't taking his training seriously, was having issues, wasn't in a good spot personally, now has all those behind him, and is looking now to make one last push towards bigger shows, bigger paydays in a long and storied career that saw him become the Season 8 winner of The Ultimate Fighter, training out of Phoenix, Arizona. Certainly a familiar face for MMA fans, as Escudero has fought everywhere. He's fought in the UFC, he's fought in Bellator, fought in the PFL. Years and years of experience. So we take a look at the fight stats here for our main event. See Leonard Smith Jr. We take a look at his last 5 fights. Very inconsistent, Jessica. You get 3 losses with 2 wins. Hasn't been very active as well as his first fight in 2 years. So we take a look at the fight stats for Efrain Escudero. He's coming off 3 losses. See his 2 wins there with Jason High and Jorge Lopez. Jason High, that being a controversial win due to High not tapping out, but it seemed like it was a tap out. But Escudero looking to get back to his winning ways. As Jessica, we look at the teletape. What sticks out to you?
What sticks out to me is the height and size advantage of Leonard Smith Jr. He is a former 205er. Now, I'm interested to see if him dropping down weight, he can keep all of that power and maybe add a little bit of speed to his game. He's been testing himself on the local circuit, so stepping up and fighting Efrain Escudero is a huge step up in competition. And Efrain Escudero, he's a journeyman. He's fought the who's who, the top of the top, And I'm really excited to see what he does with this matchup, because essentially this is a super fight. This is one of those old school Japan mismatch weight classes. Yes.
Fights, yeah. Yeah, no, I'm interested to see a guy that drops down from that much, from 205 to 170. That's a big cut. It's a big drop down. So we'll see how that translates for Leonard Lucky Smith Jr. here in our main event. We have a little bit of a break before our main eventers come to the cage. So we're getting a 10 count for someone who has passed on in the fight community. We are now just moments away from our main event here, Best in MMA, live from the Auditorium Fausto Gutierrez Moreno here in Tijuana, Mexico. I am Marcos Villegas, being joined by my co-host Jessica Penne, awaiting the entrance of Leonard Smith Jr., who's taking on Efrain Escudero in our main event. We await national anthems for the U.S. and Mexico ahead of this main event. Just a few short moments from our main event here at the Auditorio Fausto Gutierrez Moreno. Leonard Smith warming up in the back, as well as Efrain Escudero. Like we mentioned at the top of the program, Jessica, we want to see where Escudero is at this point. He's saying he's taking his training seriously now, and we're looking to see if that's going to translate into his performance here tonight.
What I love listening to Escudero is he's still a student of the sport. He still wants it. He's still hungry for it. Listen, sometimes life gets in the way of fighting, and if your head is not right, you're not going to fight right. That's just how it goes. It's really hard to be so distracted by personal problems in your life and still stay on track into fighting. Fighting should have to be very selfish, very self-focused, and now I want to see him put all of that work into it and then come out and really showcase what he's been working on. He says he wants to go back to wrestling, which is what he's done since he was a kid. It's what he did in college. He's also a BJJ brown belt, and he has really sharp punches, throws some kicks too. But I'm really excited to see what he puts together now that he's ultra focused and he's in a new place, a new gym with strong training partners, good coaching, and consistency.
You know, his last fights, or last 2 fights, he felt that he got a bad shake over in Russia. He felt that he won the fights, but because he was the American going over to Russia, that the decisions didn't go his way. You know, with that being said, the momentum that he could have coming into this fight, does that at all play in your mind? If on paper you're coming off 2 losses, but you feel like you didn't lose the fight?
Listen, if anything, it puts a chip on his shoulder. He knows he won those fights, and he has something to prove. If you go into a foreign territory and you fight the hometown local people on their show, you're gonna have to knock them out. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, you're going to have to really take out that hometown person, otherwise you're not gonna get your hand raised. Yes, maybe it wasn't a fair shake, maybe it was. He cannot let that get into his head and bother him. On the other hand, he can take it and fuel himself. He can get that chip on his shoulder. He can get ultra focused and really figure out what the feedback from that fight was, what he could have done better, what he did right, and work on from there. Every fight is feedback. Every fight is an opportunity to learn and grow, whether you win or lose.
You know, Leonard Smith Jr. coming into this fight, looking to upset Efrain Escudero. On paper, he's not seen as the favorite, but he does want to have one very distinct and big advantages. He's a bigger guy. He's used to fighting bigger guys, used to taking damage from bigger opponents, going up against a guy that's moving up in weight for the first time and hasn't felt power from a guy at this weight.
So Efrain may not have felt power like this in the cage, but he has the who's who, the cream of the crop of training partners and bigger training partners at that. It sounds to me, from what I've heard from him, that he's comfortable with this challenge. He's comfortable in his skill set. He's comfortable with where he can take the fight and whatever comes at him from Smith Jr. Now, Smith Jr. is kind of an X factor. He's dropping down in weight. We don't know if that power is going to translate. We don't know if possibly it's going to make his cardio better. We don't know his skill set necessarily, but I will say that skill set really doesn't matter when you have that KO power, and he has a 1-2 power shot. He he leads in with the jab, and then he hits you with an overhand right, and it has dropped people repeatedly, so that's what Efrain Escudero is really going to have to watch out for.
No, and certainly being a guy that's going to test himself at this new weight as well. I know he has a lot of questions. And speaking of those questions, what questions could pop up as a fighter who moves up in weight?
A fighter that moves up in weight is, how am I going to deal with that size advantage? I mean, that's a huge thing. You've seen people that are super talented, technically advanced than their opponent, but that weight just really weighs them down. Weight is a huge factor. So it's the game plan that he really needs to focus on, and that is not really clinching up with him. He can shoot for the legs, but he doesn't want to get sprawled on. He can stay in the pocket, but he's got to be careful of those power shots. This is a dangerous opponent, even though Smith Jr. hasn't been tested necessarily on a higher level as Escudero. He's still very, very dangerous and has that one-punch knockout power.
As we see Leonard Lucky Smith Jr. about ready to get into his fight with Efrain Escudero from San Diego, California, with a 10-8 pro record. Last fought back in 2017, where he suffered a head kick KO loss to Eric Smith in the first round. His last win came in July of 2015, a submission win against Israel Quintero, which was a rematch of the very first pro fight that he had, in which he lost to Quintero via knockout. Like, as we mentioned, this man right here normally fights at light heavyweight, and he's dropping down to 170 pounds to make this fight. Lost a significant amount of weight. This is his first fight at this weight, as he now steps into the cage, taking on an opponent that has a lot more experience than him in Efrain Escudero.
And what you were saying about the weight cut, that is something that could possibly be a factor. How does he handle that weight cut? How much weight did he actually have to cut? Did he diet down properly? Did he train properly? Did he do enough cardio? These all things are going to be showcased in this fight.
Hecho en Mexico, making his way to the ring, Efrain Escudero, with a record of 30-16. The Season 8 winner of The Ultimate Fighter, attempting to have his first fight at 170 pounds. Fought a majority of his career at 155 pounds at lightweight, fighting out of Phoenix, Arizona. 15 wins by submission, 13 by decision. Trying to bounce back from losses in his last 2 fights, all happening overseas where Escudero felt that he won those fights and was given a bad shake. His last win came in June of 2018 against Jason High, but that was a highly controversial one that happened at the PFL as Jason High was in a position where he never tapped. The referee felt, or at least thought he tapped when he was looking at him, and Escudero was awarded the the submission win. Now, the last fight that Escudero had was in August of this year in Russia, like we mentioned, a fight which he felt that he won against Rasul Shovahalov. At a point in his career where he's at a good place, he's taking training seriously, and he's looking to make one last push, one last run at bigger fights, significant fights in this, his last portion of his professional career. So Escudero pacing around. Smith Jr. looking at his opponent. Take it up to a ring announcer to get the particulars of this fight.
Entertainment FNC 5 presenta la pelea superestelar de la noche. 3 rounds de pelea, 5 minutos de acción. Marshall Entertainment presents the main attraction of the night. 3 rounds of fighting, 5 minutes action. Damas y caballeros, ladies and gentlemen, se acabaron los dimes y diretes. It's no more tickety-tock. It's fighting time. Es tiempo de pelear. Presentando primero en la esquina azul. Presenting first at the blue corner. He stumped the scale at 81 kilos, 800 grams. He's wearing a blue with black trunks from San Diego, California. Démosle la bienvenida a Leonard Smith, the Lucky Jr.
Teniendo como contrincante en la esquina roja, llegando con un peso de 78 kilos, 500 gramos, 500, originario de San Luis, Río Colorado, procedente de Yuma, Arizona, el primer mexicano en UFC y el único en ganar The Ultimate Fighter. Además, fue el coach de la segunda temporada de The Ultimate Fighter Latinoamérica. Recibamos con un récord de 30 peleas ganadas, 16 perdidas. Efrain, hecho en México, Escudero. Ahí fue, okay.
Okay, guys, you know the rules. I want a good fight, a clean fight. Muchachos, ya conocen las reglas. Quiero una pelea limpia y una pelea dura. Protect yourself at all time and obey my commands at all time. Protéjanse en todo momento y obedezcan mis instrucciones en todo momento. Touch ups, toquen guantes. Your corners.
No touching of the gloves here as we are about to begin our main event here in the Best of MMA. Marcos Villegas on the call here with Jessica Penne. Efrain Escudero taking on Leonard Smith Jr. Let's go, round number one as Leonard Smith Jr. bum rushes. Escudero takes him down. Escudero scrambling, gets control now in a better position than he was before.
He's
About to mount and he gets it.
Yep, going to mount. And this is where he goes to work. Efrain is really going back to his grappling roots in this fight. He's got good control.
Got to the back of Leonard Smith Jr.
Yeah,
Does Escudero now.
Smith bridges and goes to his knees, and with Efrain on his back, that's a really vulnerable position right there. It's not a position he wants to be in. He needs to get his back to the mat, start shrimping out, trying to create that space.
Might be a short night of work here if Smith cannot defend or advance this position, because these are some hard shots that Escudero is landing on him.
Efrain looks to stretch him out and just really neutralize any kind of defense that he has. Efrain's doing a good job of riding that back, but he needs to be careful, and he rolls him to his back. He needs to be careful that Smith doesn't explode and get back onto the top. Efrain using those hooks really nicely. Keeps with the body lock and is just really controlling the much bigger, explosive opponent in Smith.
Yeah, Smith attempted to transition out of that. Didn't work out for him as Escudero's stuck on him. Good job of controlling, keeping his hips heavy. Smith has not been able to get out of this position. Been on the defensive for just about the whole entire round.
Efrain's working on getting him pinned up against the cage, and that can be either a tool or a weapon. Right now he's using it to really neutralize his opponent. He's got his back to the fence, and he's gonna look to maybe pry him back down to the mat.
Yeah, what can Smith do in this position? This is a really bad position.
Honestly, Smith needs to get his shin to the fence, get his back to the mat. He has options, but he's just not doing one of them. He's being really overwhelmed by Escudero. The worst thing he can do is just sit still and let Escudero mount his offense. If I were Smith, I would get my back to the mat. I would start really trying to pry that left leg of Escudero. Again, he does not want to have Escudero on his back. If he would crawl over to the cage, he could start using it to walk up the wall.
Elbows now being landed by Escudero. Transitions over. Smith covering up.
There. You
Gets
know
back
what?
to his feet.
Hats off to Smith. He was really patient in that position. He was turtling up and he was trying to protect himself because he knew he had nowhere to go. Yeah.
Now in full mount is Escudero. Softening up the midsection of Smith Jr. He's gonna look put his.
Smith is relying on these explosive movements to try and get up and out, but it's just not technically savvy enough for anything.
Misses that elbow, does Escudero, but follows it up with another one. More elbows being landed by Escudero.
No, Smith's got to move.
It's been a tough 4 minutes for Smith Jr.
Escudero is just relentless with those takedowns. He knows that he's going to be in control on the ground. Again, it's easier said than done. Smith needs to let go of that head, stop holding Escudero onto him, create space, and get out.
Smith struggling to mount any sort of offense. He's been on the defensive this whole entire round.
It looks like it's underneath the neck.
In danger, or was, as Efrain Escudero continues to work.
Escudero.
10 seconds left in this round number 1. Big elbows being landed by him, punches. Smith in full defensive mode. He will make it out of this round.
Escudero just getting really creative with those big knees.
Right. All Escudero in round number 1. What'd you make of how he fought this first round, Jessica?
Well, I think Escudero did a great job of just staying with the pressure on top of Smith. He gave him no room to move, and every time he gave move, it was to advance his position, which speaks to the high level of jiu-jitsu that he has and the wrestling level that he has. You only give your opponent a certain way to move, and if they take it, you capitalize on it. Crafty veteran stuff right there.
And for Leonard Smith Jr., had a really bad round. What does he need to do to change the momentum to his favor coming into the second round?
So what he's doing is he's waiting for his opportunity to explode to get up, but it's just not enough. Escudero is too crafty for that. He's too just advanced in grappling for that. So what he needs to do is he needs to move and move and move again. It's going to take 2, 3, 4 attempts on the ground if he gets into that position. Right now, he's got to go. He's got to blitz him.
So we get round number 2. Leonard Smith throwing a series of kicks.
So
Escudero
Smith needs to
forward.
go forward because when he goes backwards, he's susceptible to those takedowns.
Escudero
just like
smartly.
that, Escudero, big takedown.
But Leonard
Whoa!
Smith getting back up to his feet.
Escudero said
going
he
again.
wanted to go back to his wrestling roots, and he is doing it tonight.
Escudero now in control once more.
He's looking for a Von Flue. If he would turn him away from the cage, he would have enough space to really get his hips down and solidify that choke. Right now, Escudero is trapping that arm of Smith that is trying to choke him, and he can turn into a choke of himself by putting his shoulder pressure into the throat of Smith. It's a very, very tight choke, but Smith gets out of it, or Escudero abandons the position. And again, he's in great position to just posture up and punch right here.
Yeah, the wrestling really shining through for Escudero in this fight against Leonard Smith Jr. 15 wins by submission. So let's see if he could eke out the 16th of his career.
As you say that, he's definitely working on isolating the arm of Smith. It looks like he has a Kimura attempt.
See if he's gonna rip it out.
If Smith doesn't start getting to his back flat, he's gonna get submitted. Escudero working hard, keeping position, and really trying to isolate that arm to get that finish.
Oof. He's getting close to being able to crank it out.
No, he is. I don't know how much longer Smith can hold on to it. He's lost the grip of his other hand, which is what's holding Escudero from being able to submit him. He's got to be careful. If Escudero could turn him off the cage just a little bit, he would have a little bit more leverage.
Escudero having to abandon that attempt. Now in the north-south position. Elbows to the hamstrings. Leonard Smith Jr. As he scrambles, takes his back.
And again, that's that like single explosive movement that I'm talking about from Smith. That one movement is not going to do it. He has to move 2, 3 more times to transition to it.
Smith attempts to explode out of that position. Escudero just all over him. Not letting him breathe. Making things really difficult for him here. Come to 2 minutes left in this round number 2. Fight scheduled for 3 rounds at 170 pounds. Escudero's first fight at 170. Trying to bounce back from back-to-back losses is Escudero. Has been active this year. His last fight came in August of this year, but he lost it in Russia. And for Smith, hasn't been very active. This is his first fight in 2 years. Hasn't gotten a win since 2015.
Escudero moving to mount, and this is again, I need a sense of urgency from Smith here. He's eaten some hard shots by Escudero.
Big shot right
Escudero looking for the finish.
Watch the back of the head, Rain.
The ref standing over him.
Smith looks, he's in a bad spot.
It's one thing to be calm and composed under pressure, but I just need a sense of urgency.
Armbar attempt here from
sits down
Escudero.
to the armbar attempt.
See if Smith can pop out here.
Ooh. Oh, he still has it. He still has it. If he grabs that arm and he can just flip it over, sweep him to the top.
Short time here, 20 seconds left in this round number 2.
Escudero
Leonard
goes for a
Smith now
toe.
unleashing punches. Has the back of Escudero. Escudero though takes Smith down.
10 seconds.
Final 10 seconds. More elbows coming by way of Escudero.
I love how Escudero he isolated the left arm of Smith, and just that really left him open for a lot of strikes. Escudero just really impressing me with his relentless pace.
More of the same, I think. Safe to say that Escudero up 2 rounds so far. Though in that final 30 seconds, Leonard Smith finally showing some signs of life, throwing punches.
Again, it's not going to be enough, just that one explosive movement. And then Escudero went up with him and took him right back down again. He's got to do more. He's got to go for broke in this round because this is his last opportunity.
Seems that the wrestling of Escudero is just a little too much for Leonard Smith Jr.
And that's what he said he wanted to do in this fight. He wanted to go back to his roots. He wanted to out-wrestle him. And I love that I'm seeing this from him because he has really great transitions.
To begin our final round here, Efrain Escudero, Leonard Smith Jr. Escudero seemingly in control the last 2 rounds as Leonard Smith starting this round out with big kicks.
Escudero's got to be careful reaching for those.
Small cage in here tonight. Not a lot of space to move. Smith comes charging forward. Escudero
Smith knows that this is his last chance. He is swinging wild. And that's that 1-2 that he's put people out.
It's Escudero scooping up
in.
Leonard Smith, dumping him.
Big slam. Oh. And that has just got to be so frustrating for Smith. Steps over to mount. And again, just raining down those punches and completely dominating Smith on the ground, looking to isolate that arm.
So far. Continues to just grind, put in work here in this position. Big elbows. Smith attempting to avoid damage. Has to turn over, belly down.
And Smith's just turtling up at this point, trying to figure out what his next move is, but I don't think he has an answer for
He's
this.
flattened out now. Referee getting a very close look at the position that Leonard Smith's in. Just keeps taking damage. He's taking a lot of damage in this position. Though a lot of these punches are and strikes are blocked, though. A lot of being
blocking, but some are slipping in.
Yeah. Escudero continuing.
Escudero really wants to find that finish.
Come on, Leonard, you gotta get out of there.
Leonard Smith needs to do something big here. He's down 2 rounds in this fight. Has an Efrain Escudero on top of him that's been relentless. His work rate has been great. Continuing to dish out punishment to his opponent. Smith hasn't had an answer at this point with Escudero just on him. Look, the moment he tries to get up, Escudero blocking him from getting up.
It looks like Escudero's just content to punish him. He doesn't really want to finish him, but he just wants to make him pay. Just grind him out.
Yeah, he's making Leonard Smith earn all that money. Hard not to work here for him. Once again, Escudero having the back of Leonard
Looking
Smith.
for that choke now. Let's see if he's got this one.
One minute left in this round number 3. It's been all takedowns and punishment from Escudero to Leonard Smith.
Escudero stepping over, looking for a heel hook, I think.
Oh, he tapped, he gets
the tap.
it! Efrain Escudero
You okay?
getting the submission win via heel hook here. Round number 3.
And you can just
Leonard Smith Jr. not happy
see the
with how
emotion
the
and
fight ended.
frustration. No, that is a tough, frustrating fight for Smith.
And Escudero back on the winning track. Gets his 16th submission win to his professional record. Got good time in there in the cage, got good work in there. What'd you make of how he fought, Jessica?
I thought he fought a very smart fight against a much bigger, stronger, more powerful opponent. He completely neutralized Smith at every turn. It was very impressive. And I mean, even those big, huge jumps. Escudero used to fight at 155 pounds, went up to 170 while his opponent come down from 205. That's a huge gap in weight. That's a huge gap in size and power.
So we take a look here at the finish. Jessica, walk us through it.
You see Escudero isolating that leg from half guard, and now he steps over, pulls the leg on top, and now he's digging for that heel. Smith trying to punch off it first, but he realizes that it's
too late at that point.
It's just too late. What he should have done is started fighting off the hands. He should have started moving his hips out, but I just don't think he was aware of the danger that he was in by the crafty veteran in Escudero. And that just speaks to the comfort of Escudero, because to go for a heel hook in an MMA fight, that's pretty risky. But I think he was very confident, very, very self-assured that his skill set could finish the fight from that position.
siendo el minuto 4 con 22 segundos del tercer asalto por la vía de sumisión. El vencedor de este combate, Efrain, hecho en México, Escudero.
Fuerte las palmas para Efrain Escudero. Él estuvo en la UFC, estuvo ganando en todas las grandes ligas de Estados Unidos. ¿Qué tienes que decir aquí en esta plaza de Tijuana? ¿Cómo te sientes?
Me siento muy bien. Primero de nada, le quiero agradecer a toda la raza que está aquí, a toda la gente. Programas y promociones como esta es la que hicieron que algún día mis sueños fueran realidad y llegar al UFC. Si no fuera por compañías como esta y fans como ustedes que apoyan a todo su talento local, muchachos, muchachas, todos los que han peleado ahora, vayan otra vez para el gimnasio, empiecen a entrenar. Que yo he perdido o he ganado, ha estado triste, ha estado arriba, ha estado abajo, pero recuerden, el equipo que tienen a su esquina, pierdan o ganen, es el que los está apoyando todos los días. Para todos ustedes, a toda la raza que está aquí, un gran abrazo y un gran abrazo para todos ustedes. Muchas gracias por apoyarnos.
Estoy viendo que tienes una técnica de grappling muy efectiva, que estuviste dominando todos los 3 rounds a base de suelo. Mucha gente no aprecia eso, pero para llegar a ese nivel se tiene que trabajar.
Se tiene que trabajar. Creo que en el primer round me quebré la mano. No estoy seguro, tengo que ir a quitarla. Pero en el primer round, algo pasó con esta mano, no la puedes tirar. Y esto pasa en las grandes ligas. En las primeras o en las segundas, cualquier accidente puede pasar. Entonces tuve que hacer todo lo necesario para salir con la victoria. Y esta pelea va dedicada para mis hijos, a mis padres y a toda la raza que está al lado de mí, apoyándome todos los días.
GSS, Global Sport Entertainment, quiere hacerte muy feliz.
Being joined now with the winner of this fight, Efrain Escudero. Must feel good to get back in the win column. I know it's been a tough past few years for you. How good does it feel to get this type of performance here tonight?
You know what? I knew I always had it in me. I just had to get back to what I believe in. You know, I've been out there in Russia, Europe, and all those places, and I was trying to strike. I was trying to be the person that I am not today. The person you saw today is the person that won me the Ultimate Fighter. Was the guy that found a way to win. It didn't matter what it took. So, like I was saying in the first round, I think I broke my hand. Something happened with it. I couldn't throw it. But luckily to my preparation and everything that I did correctly, I was able to adjust.
Were you surprised that you were able to get in the time that you got in, given the injury, and that Leonard Smith Jr. was able to hang with you up until the stoppage?
You know what? I was trying to wear him out. I knew that I wasn't going to be able to just yank on his neck. So I knew if I just rode him, and I'm only talking by experience. I've had guys in the UFC ride the piss out of me, and it gets really tiring. So I just had to do what they did to me before.
I know you're looking to get back on the main stage to bigger fights, a bigger platform. This was one way to go about it, but in terms of the future, where do you see yourself going now that you're reinvigorated and training hard once more?
You know what? For the longest time, I had my coaches. My coaches always said, if you ain't happy how much you're getting paid, if you ain't happy when you're fighting, if you ain't happy with whatever you want, all you have to do is just go in there, win your next fight. It doesn't matter who it is, big for stage break, the smallest stage. Just win your next one and everything will take care of itself. So that's exactly what I'm doing.
Well, you're back in the win column. Efrain, great performance here tonight. Congratulations. A round of applause, everybody. Your winner here tonight, Efrain Escudero.
Well, we have had an amazing night of exciting fights. We've had everything from the lightweight to the bantamweight to the featherweight to the heavyweights. We've had finishes by TKO, armbar, and not to mention, let's talk about Efrain Escudero and Leonard Smith Jr. We had the crafty veteran in Escudero that just really made a statement. He went back to the drawing board. He's still a student of the sport and did an amazing job tonight.
Oh, well, just finished that post-fight interview with Efrain Escudero. Big tidbit there. He said that he broke his hand. Surprised at the fact that, you know, he didn't try to finish the fight a little bit earlier because of the broken hand. And any fighter, you know, you come in, you fight through injuries, but that's a significant injury to go ahead and fight through in a fight. Absolutely,
and him being the veteran that he is, he started throwing elbows instead of punches. Yeah. It just speaks to the level that he's at and where his head is at in the game. I mean, he's just so far advanced than most of the people that he's going to be in the ring with.
No, and now he's back in the win column. You know, he admitted that he needs to win these smaller promotional fights to go ahead and get back to the bigger fights, and which is his ultimate goal, is one last push for a major promotion to get a very big payday in either league that will go ahead and get him. One thing that I want to leave off with, this is his first fight at 170. Didn't seem to have a problem with the bigger guy in there, but he's going to have to step it up in competition. Based on what you saw, though, at 170, do you feel that he'll be more comfortable at this weight?
It honestly depends on the opponent. To be honest, I think he has success at 155. He just needs a little bit more discipline at it. 170 can potentially be a good weight class for him. It doesn't seem to have any like size, weight, strength discrepancy. However, when you step up in competition, that's when it starts, you know, giving those slight advantages that you're going to need. So I would say 155 is a great weight class for him. However, I mean, who am I to say? Because if you're more comfortable at a weight class, you have the power, you have the strength, then that might be your weight class. I'm just thinking about body type, composition, and stuff like that.
Well, a happy fighter is a dangerous fighter, and if you don't have to cut, that makes you a very happy fighter, because we know weight cutting is a very difficult thing in any combat sport. Jessica, thank you so much for going ahead and calling the action here with us. It's been a long night here in Tijuana, Mexico, and we go ahead and thank you for watching us live over here. For Jessica Penne and myself, thank you so much for watching us over here in the Best in MMA. The Best in Boxing will return in December to finish off the year live here on Fight Hub TV. So for everybody in attendance and for me and Jessica, thank you guys for watching us over here, the Best in MMA.